the grounds of Woodbury High School in Woodbury, New Jersey, the GCEN presents South Jersey High School football. This afternoon, it's the Woodbury Thundering Herd hosting the Paulsboro Red Raiders. Hello again, everyone. Rob Christ along with my partner Mike Shute. A crisp fall afternoon, bright, beautiful day for football, and we can't have a better matchup for you. The 100th anniversary of the first meeting of these two teams. They did miss one game along the way, so actually the 99th matchup. But I tell you, when you talk about history and you talk about South Jersey football, invariably these two teams are going to be part of the discussion. Today's outcome is going to be based probably on big plays. That's always been the case throughout the years with these two teams, but one thing is certain, that these two teams are going to play for a lot of different reasons, one of which is bragging rights.
Yeah, bragging rights. A lot of times they wind up playing twice a year. You'll see them play their regular season Colonial Conference Patriot Division matchup. The winner usually wins the division. Then later on, oftentimes over the years, through the years, twice a year, they'll meet in the playoffs too. So these two schools know each other well. You know, the coaching staffs know each other. A lot of connections in different ways, neighboring towns. It's a great rivalry. Again, you said it, Rob, 100 years. Back in 1915, these teams first met. You know, football was just a fledgling sport at the high school level, but now, of course, thriving all over the place, and great players have come through the systems of both of these schools. So there's just so much rich history here. They had some great pregame festivities here where they had a breakfast for anybody who wanted to, either from Woodbury or Paulsboro, could register, come in, have a pancake breakfast. You'll see people walking around today, the stadium, with white T-shirts on, with the both helmets. Those people were registered. They're going to be recognized at halftime as well. So it's just, and it's a beautiful day too. So I mean, this has everything you want in high school football: tradition, great day, great football.
Yeah, you see quite a few people walking around the stadium with those T-shirts that you mentioned. That speaks to the level of this rivalry. Rarely are you going to have T-shirts printed out by a high school just for one game specifically, but that's the case today. Well, Woodbury's certainly going to have their hands full, and they're going to have their hands full with a tremendous talent in Deron Holloway. He leads all of South Jersey in touchdowns.
Holloway with 15 scores, just a sophomore. Coach Howard talking to him before the game, telling us that, you know, this kid's as talented as they come, and as talented as a player maybe as we've had. At least he has the potential to do that for the next couple of years as well. So he's a guy to watch, definitely. But this Paulsboro team also, of course, won the sectional championship last year, Group 1 championship down at Rowan University. Their quarterback is back too, Carlton Aiken. So they've got experience, they've got talent, and now it's, you know, on the line here as they visit Woodbury.
Well, you mentioned quarterback for Woodbury. That's really where the team goes. Darius Triplett is a talented player, but not only does he go on offense as the quarterback, but he's also a leader on defense.
Yeah, he runs the ball quite a bit, averages almost 10 yards a carry, if I'm not mistaken. And then you've got, of course, he's throwing the ball. They don't put it up a lot, Woodbury. They've always run the ball through the years. You know, the format, the alignment maybe has changed a little bit, going from back in the old days when they'd run the full house backfield and the Delaware wing T here. Now they're a little bit more spread and do a little more things, but still running the football is the key. Triplett, the quarterback, will run the football. He's also a very good defensive end, so he's kind of the all-around leader for this team, the coach in the field, playing both ways.
This is literally a cathedral for high school football here at Woodbury. You talk about pomp, tradition. I mean, it just oozes tremendous memories for us as broadcasters, but particularly for the fans and the residents of Woodbury and Paulsboro. Two neighboring communities that really put a tremendous amount of pride in their football programs. It's going to be all on display. We'll have it for you in just a moment.
And welcome back to our Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week, and two people in South Jersey who need no introduction, but I'm going to introduce anyway. To my left, Adam Telefaro, and to my right, John Kelly. And John, I know this because I've known you a long time, but you're a big historian of the Colonial Conference. This is a big game, the 100th anniversary. I know you're old, but you weren't around in 1915. But talk about this rivalry and what you've seen over the years.
It just holds significance for those who both participated in it and have watched it. It meant so much to the towns, you know, long before Paulsboro and Woodbury were Group 1. They were regional schools when there was no Kingsway, no Clearview, no Gateway. You know, a lot of people have played or participated, and a lot of memories are relived.
Of course, you know a lot of these people. A lot of people in Woodbury, a lot of people in Paulsboro are very close. One of the honorary captains today for Woodbury, Don Sanderson. I know you know him very well.
Not only is he a friend, but Don got me involved in the wackiest bets when I was mayor of Paulsboro. And many of you may remember Don dressed as a cheerleader a couple times and led the lighting of the Paulsboro Christmas tree parade. And then on that historic year when Woodbury snapped Paulsboro's long state record winning streak, I ended up wearing a barrel in the Woodbury Fall Parade and actually had a great time. Don is a friend, and Don played in this game, and he's got great stories to tell.
Okay, Adam, one of the outstanding players in South Jersey. Talk about, obviously, you didn't play in the Colonial, you were in the Olympic, but the rivalries in high school football. I know yours playing at Eastern with Shawnee, but the rivalries as you know it.
It's just a great experience. You know, you get pumped up regardless of what the team's records are. You're ready to play. You never know what the outcome is. You always get great crowds, as you can see here today. And I have a small connection to this rivalry with my coach, was Larry Ginsburg at Eastern, longtime coach at Woodbury, so I'm excited to be here today.
And of course, our announcer up there, Rob Christ, who was a teacher at Eastern Regional High School and baseball coach. As you walked in, what were some of the things that people were saying?
No, you know, for me, it's always an honor. Just people that asking me how I'm doing. You know, they see me and know of my injury, and just to have that recognition 15 years later is fantastic. And just the general excitement. You know, when John and I walked in here, you could feel the excitement here today, and I'm just looking forward to a great game.
Quick update then, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, it's been 15 years since my injury. You know, John and I are running in the state race here, and we're just working hard. So I can't complain. I got a great guy, you know, to work with each and every day, and I just love my life.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, Rob, back up to you.
Thank you, John. And we're kicking it away. A roller avoids Rasan Hayes. Hayes picks it up at his own 8-yard line, cuts through traffic, and he'll be brought down at about the 12. Woodbury and Paulsboro have met, as we mentioned. This is their 100th anniversary. 51 wins for Paulsboro, 43 for Woodbury, 3 ties, and 1 game was postponed due to rain. There you see today's weather, 56 degrees, mostly sunny. It's an absolutely perfect day for high school football.
Yeah, should get up to 60 before this day is out. Beautiful day. And again, we talked about it in the opening, a great rivalry. 100 years ago, these two teams played.
Triplett out of the shotgun. And the first play will be a handoff off left tackle. And not a whole lot there.
That's Jaquan Solomon, the junior running back, 5'11", 220, wears number 40. He comes into today averaging 8.4 yards per carry, 60 carries on the season, 502 yards, 4 touchdowns as well. Number 8 will come in there as well now, Charles Sampson. You'll see him get some time at running back as well. He averages 9.7 yards a carry. And then, of course, there's the quarterback Triplett, who averages 11.7 yards per carry. So they certainly can move the ball on the ground.
Triplett will carry. Looks to cut it outside. He's across the 15 where he is tripped up. May have gotten a yard at most.
And talking to Glenn Howard before the game, he said to us that, you know, an important thing for his defense today is to control the quarterback, control Triplett, not give up the big plays that he is capable of making.
Woodbury is a very young team, and this is a team that maybe is a year or 2 away. Here you see the cutback by Triplett. 3rd down, and we'll call it 7.
A.J. Google on the tackle there, number 2, coming up from his defensive back position to make that
Triplett
last tackle.
Hands off inside, and absolutely nothing there. May have lost a yard. And that'll bring up 4th down. So 3 and out to start things here for the Thundering Herd.
And you've got an injured player down for Woodbury. That's 72, senior Deontay Moore, who plays right guard.
He's a 6'1" senior offensive lineman, plays on both sides of the football, 265 pounds. Woodbury hopes to control the line of scrimmage, and they were hoping Moore to be a big part of their success today. Hopefully it's not serious.
Oh, and he's the most, and there you see Moore, and he is the most experienced player on their offensive line, Rob. He's the only senior. We'll see him there, maybe in the middle. No, you can't really, but he's under the pile there. But he's certainly the most experienced player on their offensive line, the only senior on that offensive line, again at 6'1", 255. They're taking a look at the left ankle there.
It looked like initially he was holding his shin, and now they're working all the way down to the bottom at his ankle. You know, again, we talk about just the pageantry, the history, the tradition that's here. Of course, their 100th anniversary. We mentioned in the open, Michael, about everybody wearing the T-shirts that reinforce the fact that we're playing here 100 years after the original matchup. And just looking around, I mean, you go to a lot of high school games and you see a lot of high school kids. Here you see the series 53, 42, and 3. But here you see people of all ages, and this is something that is huge throughout the community of Woodbury. It's also big in the community of Paulsboro. Paulsboro will receive the punt. It's a high punt, but it's not going very far. It's going to touch down at about the 40 and roll forward. It'll be down at the 43-yard line. So the benefit of a roll, and Paulsboro with good field position to start their first possession.
And now that injury to Moore now softens up Woodbury's defensive front 4-2. He and Darius Triplett both played on the left side of that 4-3. So Triplett's a defensive end. Moore is the defensive tackle there, along with Picard, Masato, Moten, and Michael Masato Moten, who are on the right side. So we'll have to see who they're going to bring in there to replace Moore at the one defensive tackle spot.
First down and 10. We mentioned before about the talented performers on this Paulsboro offense led by Carlton Aiken, their quarterback, the senior quarterback working out of the shotgun. 2 receivers set right, 1 to his left.
It looks like they've moved Jaquan Solomon up from linebacker.
Handoff inside, and it's Holloway. Holloway at the 44. He maybe gets back to the original line of scrimmage.
Holloway leading South Jersey with 15 touchdowns this season. Sophomore.
Looks like they're going to go into a hurry-up offense.
Well, that's what they run. They run the spread, no huddle, do the Red Raiders.
Aiken throws, has his man out, and caught still on his feet, lunging forward towards the first down. Will be cut down at about the 35-yard line. A nice throw and catch. Childress, the senior, on the reception.
And Aiken, the quarterback for Paulsboro, came into today 57 for 102 passing for 735 yards. His completion percentage about 56%. Passes for about 147 yards per game.
3rd and 1. And the push up front. And it looks like Aiken is going to continue to push forward. The line of Paulsboro winning that battle. And Aiken turns what looked like maybe a stop at the line of scrimmage into about a 7-yard gain.
And that's partially due to the push up front from the offensive lineman. Again, remember, this Paulsboro team won a sectional title last year. They've got plenty of players back from that team. Not a lot of players back, but they've got a good portion of guys with some experience that certainly know how to win football games.
And there you see some of the push we spoke about from Paulsboro. Again, first down and 10 at the 28-yard line. High snap, handoff inside. The delay has allowed Paulsboro to pick up the huge gain. Timing thrown off and able to elude the oncoming rushers. Deron Holloway, we mentioned just how talented he is. He's small, but he's big in talent.
Holloway averaging 109 yards per game, 73 carries, 546 total yards this season.
Quick outlet pass, finding his man into the end zone. Touchdown, Emmanuel Simon. Paulsboro strikes first.
Simon on the reception from Aiken.
For Aiken, that will be his 8th touchdown pass of the season. Has just 1 interception so far this year. And for Simon, his first score. Came into today with 9 catches for 136 yards, an average of 15.1 per game. So he picks up the first touchdown of the season for him. First touchdown today on this 100th anniversary matchup.
8:41 remaining in this first quarter. Paulsboro on to attempt the point after. And for Paulsboro, it's going to be Matt Kelsey. And a botch snap is blocked. On rushing Michael Masato Moten, able to knock that down, and Paulsboro unable to convert the point after. It's 6-0. Well, special teams always a question mark for any high school team, and it looked like a good snap. It just looked like it wasn't handled.
And more so, too, the smaller the schools you get, the fewer players you have that can take the time to just specialize in that one area, Rob. So sometimes the Group 1 schools might suffer a little bit more. Although Paulsboro graduate is kicking real well for Rowan University this year. His name escapes me off the top of my head, but he had a great season last year. Continues doing it for the props there. I'll have to look it up when I get an opportunity.
Well, that's one of the great things about this Paulsboro program. You know, a lot of teams are great offensively or great defensively. They have tremendous special teams, and their kicking game takes a backseat to no one.
Channel 97.
So Paulsboro will kick it away, and once again, back to receive, it'll be Hayes for Paulsboro, along with Berger. Appreciably better kick, and that'll find its way in the end zone as Cameron Berger unable to take that before the goal line, resulting in 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. Well, field position's always a key element in any football game, and so far, Woodbury's been backed up on their first 2 possessions.
Yeah, at least this time at the 20. Previously, they were, it started out at the 12, so a little bit better this time. But yeah, field position always critical.
And just a quick note, Deontay Moore still on the bench.
Throughout the game, you'll see some interesting historical notes, and I guess the longest winning streak between these two teams was Paulsboro winning 12 straight from 2000 to 2008, which included 3 playoff games in there, I believe.
Triplett spins away, still on his feet, and cut down at the 29-yard line, gain of 9 yards for Triplett. Triplett 6'4", 225 pounds. 2nd down and 1. Woodbury's largest gain from the line of scrimmage thus far.
Fake the handoff there to Juwan Rose coming through in motion. So it made some defense move too with him. Rouse. And it made the defense move with him a little bit, and then Triplett opened up and went the other way.
Again, the handoff, and that'll be enough for the first down. Not a whole lot more after that for Jaquan Solomon.
Solomon so far being contained pretty well by the Paulsboro defense, and again, came in averaging 8.4 yards per carry, so that's going to be key. If Paulsboro can limit him, it's going to take away one of Woodbury's main weapons.
A long, protracted drive would be just what the doctor ordered for this Woodbury team. Some success here. 1st down and 10 at the 31-yard line. Again, out of the shotgun. Empty backfield for Triplett. Quick drop. It's a quarterback draw. Triplett through the secondary. Cut down at the 42-yard line. Gain of 11. And again, you see some of the magic of Triplett.
Triplett, yeah, he averages 11.7 yards per carry. He got about 12 there, so right to his average. And credit the offensive line there. Made a nice little opening right in the center. You'll see it here. Good work. Looked like maybe Nick Beatty, number 70, was able to get out there and kind of make a little headway for him. Beatty, the center.
Triplett underneath center now with Solomon in the backfield. Hand off to Solomon. Solomon burrows his way forward. He'll pick up 2 or 3. Ball comes loose, but not until the whistle blew. Rolled down by contact. 2nd down. We'll call it 7.
Yeah, Bryce Holloway came out of the pile with the ball there. Number 6, he was headed the other way. Looking around, hey, I have the ball, come on.
Ball spotted at the 45-yard line. You know, one of the keys to containing Triplett is keeping him inside the pocket. But one way to counter that is that quarterback draw we saw 2 plays ago. We'll see if that's something that they revisit. 2nd down and 7, and now whistles blow timeout. Al Mail calls timeout. We talk about this Woodbury coaching staff, most of which are from Haddon Heights.
Well, Al was the head coach at Haddon Heights a few years back. He still teaches there, actually.
They have Butch Gale, who was the head coach at Haddon Heights, Carl Dean, who was the head coach at Haddon Heights. So a very distinctive garnet and gold look to the coaching staff. We saw Zach Ballantyne before the game started, the previous head coach of Woodbury, and you know, he said he loved coaching here, but you know, he's happy to be on the sideline and root on these guys.
And Zach still helps out with the team. He's kind of in charge of the weight room and the strength and conditioning program because he's here at the school. Al's not. He's coming from Haddon Heights, so when he gets here, you know, Zach opens the door for him, and that's the kind of thing. Another kind of thing you got to do at a small school, Rob. Everybody's got to help each other out, whether it's, you know, two coaches kind of combining to help the football team, or even, you know, a soccer coach who's available to help out, you know, make sure the field hockey team gets on the field. You know, that's kind of what being a small school is all about.
And, you know, you couldn't have a more consummate team player than Zach Valentine. He is truly invested in these kids and happy to help out in any way he can. There you see Glenn Howard. He's 4-1 this season. He's had a storied career as the coach of Paulsboro, and he is very much a part of the fabric that makes Paulsboro so successful in all elements of sports. 2nd down and 7, Triplett again out of the shotgun with Solomon in the backfield. Solomon will lead the blocking, and Triplett finds some space. It looks like we're going to have a penalty flag here.
Yeah, probably holding the official on the far side threw the flag right into the pile there as Triplett tried to get across the 45.
You know, Michael, you've been around South Jersey for a long time. You know, to me, Woodbury.
Not 100 years, but.
Not 100 years, close. But Woodbury and maybe Cherokee, probably the two best places to watch a football game.
Yeah. I'll have to think about that a little more, but yeah, I mean, Cherokee Stadium, very cool the way it sits down in that little valley there, you know, kind of a bowl. This, the same thing. It's set down below the parking lot, below street level. The players come down from the locker room down alongside the stadium here. Very kind of neat setup. Always a kind of a nice scene here in the fall. Leaves always changing colors out in the, you know, it is a nice vantage point for sure.
2nd down now after the penalty. We'll call it 17. Triplett back to pass. He has a lot of time. Triplett looks, has a man, overthrows, picked off. And A.J. Google takes advantage of the overthrow by Triplett. You know, that's a case where Triplett on 1st down was trying to do a little bit too much good coverage on the play. He would have been better off just tucking it under and picking up 4 or 5.
Well, off the timeout, they designed this. They went with this play here to maybe kind of surprise him a little bit on 1st down, try and go down the field with it. And again, just throwing on the run, overthrew the receiver just a little bit high. You see him, a lot of space in front of him, and just overshot the receiver. Google back there, lingering in the distance to take the interception.
Just an element of impatience there. It would have been better suited to pick up 5 or 6, but the defense was giving him a quick throw. And again, you see this quick fire offense as a fine throw by Carlton Aiken, and he seems like he has tremendous chemistry with his wideout, Isaiah Pierce.
Well, Aiken's a senior. He's got plenty of experience, and certainly, you know, knows when to throw the ball, where to throw the ball. They did pick up the 1st down.
Ball spotted now at the 42, once again in Woodbury territory. Aiken sprints, throws underneath, has his man, it's Google. And that'll be just shy of a 1st down, pickup of about 8. A.J. Google, another senior.
But if you notice Aiken, it's almost he doesn't sit back in the pocket. If he's throwing, he's moving. He's got the pocket moving. He's going towards where he's going to throw the ball. It seems like, at least on these last 2 passes.
Holloway with the handoff. He'll stretch it out. There's a penalty flag on the field. Holloway, and he'll be pushed out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. But again, this is going to come back.
Flag thrown from the back judge there. So perhaps he saw holding in the interior line. We'll get the call here from our officials. Yes, holding it is against Paulsboro. So you'll have a 2nd and about 13 now for the Red Raiders, back near the 45. Our officials today, by the way, the referee Michael Mollet, our umpire Dan McGettigan, linesman John Jackson, line judge Brett Harris. The back judge is Darren Ingalls, and operating the clock up here in the booth today is Joe Quinn.
So after the penalty, that'll back up Paulsboro to about the 49-yard line. 2nd down and 13. And Aiken keeps, but nothing doing. He'll lose a yard.
Tyshawn Davis, number 61 there, in on the tackle, and I think he's kind of the guy they're relying on now to take the place Oh, pardon me, Chris Roan is 61. Chris Roan, but anyway, he's
Third down now. We're going to call it 13. Again, one back set for Aiken.
Roan is kind of a utility guy on both sides of the line.
Aiken throws, has a man deep, and just misses his receiver. Aiken just a little bit too much air trying to find John Pellegrini, and you know, Aiken likes hooking up with those seniors.
Oh, he and Pellegrini have a great connection over the years, the starting tight end for Paulsboro. But Roan, he's taking the place of Deontay Moore, 72, who we saw get injured a little bit earlier on there in that interior line. He did get taped up, and he was moving pretty nicely on the sidelines with Woodbury's athletic trainer. So expect to see Deontay Moore back in the game there pretty soon.
So Paulsboro will punt it away. They are in punt formation. Woodbury back to receive at their 10. This punt is going to be taken at the 15, bobbled, still on his feet, and finally cut down is Rasan Hayes. So Hayes gets him at the 20, and that equals their best field position to start a drive this afternoon. You know, you mentioned before Pellegrini. You know, you think about Paulsboro, and they've had just so much tradition, so much talent over the years. Tight end is certainly one of the positions where they've had a tremendous amount of success and talent.
Absolutely. And, you know, you see these guys, a lot of these guys wind up too. They're, you know, some of the tight end linemen, they wind up on the wrestling team too. And you see those guys perform at high levels in that regard as well.
Again, out of the shotgun, triplet. And some confusion here. It looks like we're going to have a procedure penalty.
And again, our official on the far side making the call there on that sideline. Illegal procedure. So we'll have 1st and 15 now for the Thundering Herd. We'll have the ball back at their own 15.
Of course, last night we had a big game in South Jersey. It was Hamilton and Delsey, and Hamilton a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, 34-0. Big victory for the Blue Devils. Kind of a bounce back, I think, if I'm not mistaken. They had lost their previous game, so a little bit of a bounce back for Hamilton. And we talked to last week before our game. You know, the talk was that Kingsway's defense did such a great job against Hamilton's rushing attack. That, you know, Washington Township's coach felt that that Hamilton's rushing attack was as good as he's seen in South Jersey. So, you know, they put it on display last night.
Second down now, 13 for the Herd. Just under 4 minutes remaining. When you think about football, Michael, this is kind of what you envision. Great setting, beautiful day, rivalry. Just excitement from the communities. You got it all here today.
Absolutely.
Triplet. Throws, has his man. He's tripped up, and it's picked off. Picked off as Kyle Jones at the 27-yard line and cuts back. He'll be brought down at the 28. You know, there's a lot of contact in the secondary, and Jones ends up with the football.
Yeah, the receiver fell down. And I guess the argument from the Woodbury sideline is that he was pushed down or knocked down, but it left Jones wide open there to make the interception. I mean, nobody was near him. Here's the throw from Triplet. And you see after, you know, at the end of the play, the receiver down on his back, rolling over. That looked like it was number 10, Savion Gardner, I think, who was the intended receiver.
First down and 10.
Take a major victory here if Woodbury can hold them again, though, because their defense has had to hold up in some tough situations so far in this early
Triplet fakes the handoff, keeps, and nothing doing there. Again, Woodbury's done a nice job at the point of attack.
Yeah, and Triplet with the tackle. Aiken tried to shake free there. And his, actually, Aiken's Twitter account is @HadamShaken, and he spells it with A-I-K-E-N. So he was trying to do some shaking there. Couldn't bust loose. Now it's 2nd and 11 for the Red Raiders.
Out of the shotgun, pitch, Holloway avoids one tackle, and again another penalty flag as the whistles blow.
And the officials threw that just as the Paulsboro, as Holloway zipped around the corner there and was nearly tackled and bounced off of it. I don't know if there was a hold there in the process. Yeah, illegal block it looks like. So that's going to
this will come back. We were talking before about Pellegrini being one of his favorite targets. When I think about tight ends from Paulsboro, immediately it's Alex Silvestro that comes to mind. Silvestro, of course, who went on to play at Rutgers and had success on the defensive end of the ball, ended up being in the NFL briefly. He was with the Patriots, the Ravens as an example.
Yeah.
And he was another guy. You mentioned bringing the wrestlers over.
Right.
Great wrestler as well.
Which was why I thought of that whole thing. I just couldn't remember his first name, and I didn't want to just throw it out there.
Aiken avoids one tackle. Now, still in trouble. Back at his 40. Here he goes, throws it up, and just throws it to avoid the big loss.
He comes up limping a little bit too, does Aiken, after he came off away from the sideline after making that throw. He's hopping around out there in the middle of the field. You see him to the right of your screen bouncing. I don't know if it's his right leg he's kind of favoring right now. He might have tweaked it over there when he went to the sideline. We'll have to see what's up.
Oh, my first time seeing both Aiken and Triplett, the first thing that catches your attention is their size, and the second is their throwing ability, both with very strong arms. A lot of times when you're watching these Group 1 games, and particularly these two teams, they have really relied a tremendous amount on their athleticism in the running back position. But this year, you can see these are two vaunted offensive units, Triplett and also Aiken. Aiken back to pass, has time across the middle, and it's Pellegrini! And a penalty flag here. I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be a pass interference against Woodbury, but you see the great hands of John Pellegrini, and what a beautiful pass.
And a big kid, too, is Pellegrini at 6'5", 215. The senior plays tight end, defensive end. We'll get another look at it here as Aiken back to pass, just nice feather touch right on it. Pellegrini brings it in with a guy hanging on him. And Pellegrini said, yeah, you're hanging on me, but I hung on to the ball.
Well, that just underscores how big the previous play was, where Aiken was able to avoid the sack. Big gain here, first down and 10 for the Red Raiders. They are knocking on the door.
Little delay as they're trying to get the chains set. They had to come a long way after that play, and now they're ready to roll.
Aiken with one back, and it's Emmanuel Simon. Holloway is split right. Three receivers set split right. Aiken flushed out of the pocket. He'll keep. Aiken cuts it back inside. He's brought down to about the 9-yard line. Pickup of about 5.
And really what happened there, they had three receivers split wide to the right. You mentioned Holloway, number 1 there. He was in the slot. They had one receiver on the left. They sent all those guys out in the pattern, and it just kind of drew all that attention back a few yards and left a kind of a big gap there for Aiken to just bust through.
As you see, we're approaching the 2-minute mark here, remaining in the first quarter. It's been a spirited first quarter. Second down, and ball spotted at about the 10-yard line.
Woodbury's defense needs a play here. They really need a big play, a sack, a turnover, something to kind of keep Paulsboro.
Here's the blitz, and Holloway squeezes through the line. Holloway driving forward, still on his feet, and finally cut down at about the 5, just shy of the first down. You know, you see someone like Holloway, and the first thing you recognize is his speed, but that is evidence of the tremendous strength that Holloway has. Here you see it on the replay.
He's not a big kid, 5'7", 160, and look at him just kind of keep the legs churning. That's really where that power comes from. You just keep moving, good things are going to happen. Although sometimes
Aiken,
bad things happen.
Full house backfield. Aiken, he's pushed back now, driven outside. Aiken back at his 10-yard line, and he's going to get enough for the first down.
And what my point is about sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes you see those guys and they try and go for the extra yard. Next thing you know, somebody comes in and punches the ball out, and it's a fumble, and the other team's going the other way with it. So, you know, you got to pick and choose sometimes those times to try and make that extra effort. But just hold on to the ball. That's all that counts. And Aiken did it there.
62 seconds remaining. First down and goal. It's at the 4-yard line for Aiken and the Red Raiders. And we have some movement. I think this is going to go against Paulsboro.
Yeah, Aiken came up frustrated after standing under center, which is rare these days for the Paulsboro offense to have the quarterback under center. But in this case, they did. And it's false start is going to go against the Red Raiders. So 5 yards back, and you'll have now 1st and goal at about the 9.
So again, they'll go with the full house backfield. Holloway to the right. Aiken hands off, and they're going to go to the fullback. Big number 44, that's Dustin Herrera, again, the senior.
Not much doing there.
Herrera, 5'8", 185 pounds. And, you know, interesting team, Paulsboro, relatively young, but they very reliant on that senior class. 2nd down, again, goal to go at the 7-yard line. High snap, handoff inside, Holloway kicks it, and a nice tackle made. Stop there by Derek Lane.
Senior linebacker is Lane. Great job of hanging on to Holloway and just wrestling him down.
So key 3rd down now. Again, at the 7-yard line. They're probably going to just let the clock expire here as we are inside of 10 seconds remaining in this first quarter. The 100th anniversary of Woodbury and Paulsboro here at Woodbury Stadium. And before we head to break, let's throw it down to our own John Mondelli, who has Don Sanderson. John?
Okay, with me now, Don Sanderson, no stranger to people at Woodbury, longtime mayor, but the oldest living player in this rivalry here today. You even have your jersey from what, 1946?
45, 46.
45, 46. You probably can't say it, but there's blood stains here, stitches here, but this is that's a great look. Talk about this rivalry. You've been around for a long time. I think you were, the rivalry was 14 years old when you were born, so you've been here a long time. What did it mean to play in a Paulsboro-Woodbury game?
Well, they were the biggest competitors we had to play against, but they were friendly competitors. We were, 2 towns were an awful lot alike, and both had the same objective, come out to win, and that's what it was.
Of course, you're holding in your hand your 1945 championship jacket. Back then, Group 3 champs. Woodbury was a big school. Where did they draw from?
They draw from mostly where the students now go to Gateway came to Woodbury.
I think Paulsboro had the West Effort kids, right?
West Effort kids and Colonial Manor. Yep.
What are you up to nowadays? Still working at the store across Sanderson Florist right in Woodbury?
Right, John. I'm going to work there until I can't work anymore. My grandfather told me either wear out or rust out, and I'm going to wear out.
What do you think of the crowd here tonight and all the people?
It was marvelous. It's just marvelous to see this many people who are so enthused, not only for the football game, but for the friendship that has encompassed over the years. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Back to you, Rob.
Thank you, John. 1st down, touchdown. On the 3rd down, draw play to Holloway. You talk about a quick strike 5 seconds into this 2nd quarter.
So another score for Holloway. Again, he came into the weekend leading South Jersey in touchdowns with 15. And another one for him. It's 12-0. We'll see if they're going to elect to go for 2 here, will the Red Raiders. I'm assuming so, given the 12-0 score. And Sanderson, Mr. Sanderson, before the game there, he was the honorary captain today for Woodbury out on the field in today's 100th anniversary meeting. The honorary captain for Paulsboro today was the great Kevin Harvey, of course.
So they will go for 2. 3 receivers split right, and Pellegrini's going to call timeout before they snap the football. They have 5 receivers out, and apparently here's the replay
of the touchdown, and it's Holloway. Look at that, just a step to the left, a step to the right.
I think you could have got through there, Michael.
Man, that's asking a lot these days. But
So,
cool, very cool to have Don Sanderson. He was a class of 1947, Rob, and the he's a businessman here in town still with his florist shop. That is so awesome, and there's so many stories like that out here today. I mean, we could probably walk around with a microphone and just talk to anybody, and they're going to have great stories and great stuff.
here are the air dates for the games. November 3rd through the 5th, noon and at 8 p.m.
That's next week's game. We'll be at Williamstown, the Braves. Here's this week's game. Of course, you're watching it now. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the 1979 game. Pardon me. Woodbury versus Paulsboro. They went to the archives, Robin. The oldest game they had, the oldest matchup between these two teams was the 1979 game, Woodbury versus Paulsboro. So you're going to see that October 30th through November 2nd at noon and 8 p.m. I nor you were announcing that game, were we?
No.
Paulsboro did win that one 16-14. Spoiler alert. Sorry about that, but you might want to, just for the historical aspect of it.
2-point conversion now. They've changed the formation. Aiken throws it across the middle, easily converted, finding Pellegrini. And Paulsboro now on top 14-0. You see the big senior Pellegrini with the 2-point conversion. That'll give us an opportunity to step away. With 11:55 remaining in this second quarter, it's Paulsboro on top by 2 touchdowns. Welcome back to Woodbury. Paulsboro will be kicking it away once again. Nasir Bateman, the sophomore, will kick it away. He does not do the kicking for their field goals and extra points. Back to receive for Woodbury will be Cameron Berger and Rasan Hayes. Kick away. It's a low line drive, and it's going to be Berger.
Now we're rolling.
Berger across the 20 and drives to the 25, and believe it or not, that will be their best starting field position thus far. Michael, this is not the start that Woodbury wanted. Of course, the turnover, the interception certainly hurt them. 2 turnovers, as you mentioned, but the Thundering Herd had the ability to kind of drive that football slowly and methodically by utilizing that offensive line. I think one thing that they have to do is not try to get ahead of themselves.
Well, they've got some big guys on the offensive line. You've got Dustin Moore, 6'1", 270. Picard Masato Moten, 5'11", 250. Beatty, the center, 6', 255. Deontay Moore, if he's back in there, number 72, 6'1", 255. Terrell Holloway up there as well. So certainly they have power up there to get it going. The problem is the experience, Rob. They have a little bit of a lack of experience there. You got sophomore, junior, senior. So it's, that's the catch here.
So Solomon brought down by Quarles. Second down, we'll call it 11. And again, you just kind of get a sense that Woodbury is not quite in sync yet.
Well, that's just going to say they haven't really gotten the running game really on track. Solomon, as we mentioned earlier on talking about him, he came into today 60 carries, 502 yards, 8.4 yards per carry, and he's been well shy of that today here in the early going.
3 receiver set. Handoff again, and just not a whole lot there. So
that time it was Charles Sampson, and he came today averaging 9.7 yards a carry, Rob. And then you got Triplett, the quarterback, who I mentioned a couple times now, averaging nearly 12 yards a carry. So, those 3 guys put up big numbers, and they have not been able to do it yet today. Glenn Howard told us before the game that really up front is going to be the key. We can't let our guys get controlled. We have to do the controlling. And so far, I would say that is certainly the case to Paulsboro's offensive line, doing the controlling.
Triplett.
Look at the complete pass.
Quick catch and a pass and catch brought down very close to the first down as Triplett finds his man, Jawan Thomas, the 6'3 senior. And it looks like that's going to be enough for a first down.
Yeah, look like they got about 11 or so there. You got to look at the replay. No pressure on Triplett. Nice, easy throw and catch. And you see number 80, Thomas, hauls it in. The 6'3", 215-pound senior making the grab there.
3 receiver set. Solomon in the backfield for Triplett. First down and 10 for the Herd. Handoff. And again, it's Solomon. They'll pick up about 3. It looked like Paulsboro may have jumped, but apparently they did not.
Yeah, one of the interior linemen did kind of pop up, but he didn't break the neutral zone, so no flag was thrown. But, Rob, the play before they get that pass, okay, so they need to kind of get maybe a couple more passes like that. It's going to loosen things up and help the running game get on track, I think. If you could see Triplett make some more connections with some of those receivers like Thomas and Berger, McClendon and Rouse, then you're going to see that running game maybe start to operate a little more efficiently.
Triplet keeps here. Triplet across the 40, into the secondary, across midfield. Triplet dragging number 44, Dustin Herrera, for a couple more, and Woodbury breaches midfield and now starting to generate some momentum.
And look, I mean, I've talked about it a lot. Triplet averages over 11 yards a carry, and he's certainly, look at this great look at the hole there that he saw from our end zone, from a camera down there in the end zone, and he just is able to find space and take advantage of it.
Triplet has his man in the flat, across the 35-yard line, cut down. Cameron Berger, the big catch, and now Woodbury starting to generate success both on the ground and through the air.
Berger getting loose there, number 11. You see him make the grab, and then whoop, he takes off to the right where nobody is. It was great field awareness there because he could have cut it back inside, tried to go down the hash marks there along the numbers, but instead there was nobody behind him. He just took it, looked, and found the space and took it and got about 5 extra yards out.
All at the 30-yard line. This is the deepest penetration for Woodbury. Triplet hands off, and again Solomon, not a whole lot. Ball's down on the ground, and are they going to roll down by contact? They are. Maybe we'll get an opportunity to take a look and see whether or not it was the ground that created that fumble. Again, Solomon unable to find much room.
Yeah, he got slung around here. You'll see them kind of whip him around, but he's down, and the ball's out.
It looked like it was a fumble. So Woodbury catching a break. Second down, we'll call it a gain of 3. Clock now approaching the 8-minute mark. So Triplet out of the shotgun. He's going to keep the Triplet across the 30, 20, 17-yard line. More than enough for the first down.
Really impressed with the way Triplet runs the football and the way he sees the field. He's very patient. He does not just take off and just run into trouble. He lets the blocks develop. Watch him kind of look here. He's seeing what's in front of him. He lets the one block there, a little chip, then Berger makes a block, and boom, he picks up a first down.
Ball spotted at the 16. Woodbury. Again, a 3-receiver set for Triplet, who's underneath center. Triplet hands to Solomon and cut down immediately. Tyreek King with tremendous penetration to negate Solomon.
Great work by King. Shook the quick block and was able to pop in there and tackle for a loss of about 3.
Second down and 13. One of the things I like that Woodbury is doing is they're trying to establish the run. Solomon has not had the success he's enjoyed previously thus far, but you kind of get a sense that sooner or later he's going to break one. Again, Triplet out of the shotgun, and a penalty flag here. We might have an illegal substitution, too many men on the field.
Paulsboro tried to call, one of the guys was trying to call timeout, but I think he did so after the flag was thrown.
Glenn Howard out to talk things over, and they will allow for the timeout here.
Yeah, they're picking up the flag. You see our referee today doing with the old universal signal there of picking up the flag. He just kind of waving at everybody. No, he's not waving at you. He's just picking up the flag. No flag on the play.
The last time that Woodbury defeated Paulsboro was 2012. They won 20-10. Last year, Paulsboro victorious 6-0. The year prior, Paulsboro victorious 14-6. And Paulsboro has only been shut out once by Woodbury in the past 10-plus years, and actually twice. That was in 2009 and 2010. So Paulsboro, as we mentioned before in this series, has had the better. Paulsboro's had the better of Woodbury, and they have won the last 2.
Although when this series started, Rob, back in 1915, Woodbury won 6 straight between 1915 and 1932. That was when things kind of started. They didn't play every year, and they were able to win the first 6 of this series. And Woodbury also won 6 straight between 1988 and 1991, including 2 Group 1 finals during that time.
Second down and 13 for Triplet. Solomon in the backfield. Triplet, 2-step drop. He's going to keep right up the middle. Triplet, And you see that quick burst, allowing him to pick up 5 or 6. So, Michael, that first game, Woodbury victorious 53-0 in 1915, just in case you were wondering what the score was.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that, Rob, is the first 2 meetings, Woodbury 53-0, 56-0. But throughout the years, if you look at these scores, and like we said, this is the 99th meeting, it's been very rare that a game has gotten out of hand between these two teams. Always close, always competitive, usually within a score or 2. So it's been a great rivalry over the years, and we'll continue to harp on that throughout this game.
Triplett on 3rd down, keeps still on his feet, cut down just inside the 10-yard line, and that'll bring up a short 4th down. You got to believe that Woodbury will be going for it.
Kyle
4th
Jones.
down, we'll call it about 2. Kyle Jones on the tackle.
And now we've got a timeout on the field. Woodbury calls timeout.
So 5:59 remaining. You see here in 1998, Woodbury victorious 14-13 to break Paulsboro's streak, a record 63-game winning streak.
It was a state record at that time, 63 games that Paulsboro had won. Woodbury wins 14-13 in what was, I guess, a little, it's somewhat of a shocker. But when, again, you talk about these two teams, you got to just say, well, anything can happen in this game. Even talking to people today out on the field, I said to a couple of the reporters here, well, what do you think of this game? Everybody had their opinion, but it always came with the caveat that but, and that but is always huge when these two teams play, because and it's cliche. You say we'll throw the records out, but it really comes to fruition a lot of times in a lot of cases, and it's very appropriate in this rivalry because it happens. I mean, there's just something about it, and like I said, these games are always really competitive. It's 14-0 now, Paulsboro, but that might be the extent of the gap between these two teams, and it usually is, again, like we mentioned, always a pretty close game when these two teams meet.
So 4th down. We'll call it 4. 2 receivers split left. Solomon in the backfield. Triplett once again working out of the shotgun. 5:59 remaining in the half. Triplett will roll to his left. He looks like he's going to keep. No, he throws in the end zone. No good.
Oh, Berger
thought he kept his feet in bounds. It looked like the call was correct, though. We'll take a look at the replay.
You got it. If we can see Berger from this replay, he's got himself set up in the corner. We're not going to be able to see it from this angle necessarily, but the way he got himself set up, he literally looked down at his feet and tried to get himself set so he could stay in bounds. But yeah, he drug across because the throw just took him a little bit out. He did his best to stay in if he could, but he just couldn't quite keep both one toe in bounds. That's all he needed.
Well, they always say this is a game of inches, and that's clearly indicative of that. So, turned over on downs, and Paulsboro will start with the football at their own 10. Handoff, and nothing doing for Holloway.
I don't know if we have a flag in the backfield or if that's something that fell off one of the players' uniforms. There's something on the ground back there, back around the 5. Looks like nobody's going to pick it up, so I guess not a flag, but definitely a loss nevertheless of about 4 there. Good work by Woodbury on that right side of the defensive line to come up and seal that off.
2nd down, Aiken in his own end zone, throws, has a man, it's Google. Google at the 14, cuts it back across the 20, and Google more than enough for the 1st down.
Out to the 25, so a pick of about 17 there. And Woodbury right now, looking at the way their defensive backs are kind of aligned, and they're giving the Paulsboro receivers a good 7 yards off the ball, and that one kind of cost him on that last play.
Aiken again, a fine throw, but in and out of the hands of his intended receiver, Alan Childress.
And credit Gentile McClendon there for coming up and putting the heat on the receiver and not letting him hang on to that pass. Certainly heard the footsteps and felt the hit as well.
2nd down and 10. Paulsboro with Holloway in the backfield for Aiken. 3 receivers split left. Quick drop across the middle, and Google was not expecting that. It looks like they were on a different page.
Yeah, he was not quite looking back for the ball. Aiken threw it to him, and he and Google are kind of motioning back and forth to each other. Aiken was showing them about something about running, and Google looked back and just shrugged his shoulders. So
Looked like Google running the post pattern, and Aiken trying to hit him on the pop pass. So 3rd down and 10 now for the defense of the Herd. An important play for this Woodbury team. Aiken with the drop, has time, Google, and that'll be enough for the 1st down. And right now, as you mentioned, Mike, they're just playing a little too soft.
Yeah, Woodbury's defensive backs are just way off the line of scrimmage, and Google just took advantage of it, Rob. He just ran straight at him, turned around. Aiken's got the ball right there, an easy pitch and catch.
That was a big play for Paulsboro to continue with this drive. 1st down and 10 at the 38-yard line. And again, Aiken working out of the shotgun with Holloway.
Woodbury showing some blitz here.
Aiken, quick drop, flushed out, throws it up, and Pellegrini is hit immediately.
Hung on to it, though, but another big hit by McClendon.
I tell you, I've been very impressed with John Pellegrini. Good hands, obviously tremendous size at 6'5". You know, you can't coach height.
No.
But I tell you, rarely do you see someone that big with such sure hands.
You can't coach good hands either, Rob.
That's correct. Inside screen, and not a whole lot there for Emmanuel Simon. So again, another 3rd down here, and Woodbury's got to come up with a stop.
And look who made the tackle, Triplett, number 5. He is all over the place. You know, quarterback, running the football. He's playing defensive end. He's going back and making it. Look, he's up there on the line of scrimmage, and he comes back and makes that hit. He's going 5 yards behind him to go make that play. Nicely done.
Google has been a target for Aiken of late. We'll keep an eye on him. He's split wide right at the bottom of your screen with Pellegrini. Aiken with time across the middle. Pellegrini in and out of the hands. And now a penalty flag. We're going to see if we have a pass interference call.
McClendon was guarding him closely. It's a bit of a size mismatch as McClendon's he's 6'1", so he's probably as good a guy you can have guarding him as possible, but Pellegrini's still 6'5". Pass interference is the call.
Well, this drive started back at the 10-yard line. Paulsboro continued to flex their muscles. Here's the throw.
Yeah, you're not going to see the pass interference necessarily, but you'll see the end of the play. Although it looked like McClendon may have had an arm on the back of the shoulder there.
Now, they had them waving off the penalty, but he fumbled the ball, so I'm a little confused by that. But
unless they said it was a catch, but it certainly didn't look like it.
No, 1st down and 10 again for the Red Raiders. Here's Holloway. He spins after being hit at the line of scrimmage and then flung backwards, maybe a pickup of a yard at most.
Triplett in there on the tackle again. Masato Moten as well.
You know, these last 2 times they've had 3rd down and long, 6 and 10 yards. Those are not just 1st downs; those are morale breakers.
Yeah, absolutely.
2nd down, a 4-receiver set. Pellegrini and Google split right. Aiken again inside screen, and he has his man. It's Childress, and Childress cut down after a pickup of about 4. So again, another 3rd down here. Woodbury's been unsuccessful stopping him, but this may be 4-down territory for Paulsboro.
At this point, yeah, definitely.
Inside of 3 minutes remaining, Paulsboro continuing to be successful and moving the football and eating up clock. Again, same set with Google and Pellegrini at the bottom of the screen. Quick drop, looking for the screen. Aiken avoids his man, wide open, finds Holloway. Holloway streaks inside the 10-yard line.
And watch the replay when we get a chance to show it to you, but watch Aiken as he kind of avoids the pressure and hops up and throws this ball. You want to talk about athleticism, watch this. Rush is coming at him, 2 guys, puts on the brakes, and then just hops, and Holloway's out there waiting for it, wide open, and then head of steam, he just flies down that left side of the field, tried to make his way to the end zone, came up a little bit short.
1st and goal for the Red Raiders. Aiken flush out of the pocket. Aiken throws it up, and penalty flag here in the end zone.
Interesting where that flag came from, insofar as that Pellegrini was behind the defender, But it looked like maybe Pellegrini was guilty of something there. I don't know. Just judging by the way the referee threw the flag. Yeah.
Pass interference called against Paulsboro. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought so because he was behind the defensive back, Rob, and he was kind of pushing him in the back, like trying to get some space for himself to maybe jump up and make the play. Yeah, you kind of see it there in the replay. Pellegrini had his hands on the defensive back's back, and I think maybe that's where he got whistled for the call, got caught.
So the referee's still talking it over. And now it looks like they're going to wave it off. And
now they changed it.
Now they call it against Woodbury.
Wait a second. And that's not going to be a happy guy right there, Al Millen.
No. Well, that certainly changes everything. So, again, first down here for the Red Raiders. Aiken pushes forward, and Aiken, it looks to be in for the touchdown. Still no call.
No, they're going to say it's just a touch short.
Wow.
Didn't make it in. Looks to be just
so second and goal. Yeah, that's a huge change of direction, though, with that penalty call because it puts them first and goal.
Aiken again will push forward, and this time it looks like he's going to be in. He is.
Looks like we get a signal from the ref, and he's in for the score.
Well, again, this drive started at the 10-yard line, and Woodbury really faltered on third down.
Yeah. You could say Woodbury faltered on third down, or you could give Paulsboro's offense some credit, too, for making some big plays as well. And they did that, caught the ball when they had to. And, the receivers running smart routes, getting beyond the sticks, and then coming back for the ball.
So on to attempt the point after Matt Kelsey to try to extend the lead to 21 for Paulsboro. The kick is up, and the kick is good. It was not picturesque, but it was successful.
Your score with 2:02 remaining in the half.
So 21-0 here with 2 minutes and 2 seconds remaining in this 100th anniversary.
Once again, an announcement for all former football cheerleaders, bands, and coaches.
Well, we're going to step away here. We'll be back with more South Jersey football action. Welcome back. Red Raiders to kick it away, and Berger to take the kick at the 1 yard line. Berger crosses 10, now the 20. Berger slips the tackle, and they'll bring it back to about the 33 to 34 yard line. A good return of 32 yards for Cameron Berger. Berger, again, just a junior, and Woodbury just going to try to put a couple plays together. They had a great drive going and stopped inside the Paulsboro 10-yard line, came up empty.
And they've had a couple drives going, Rob, but, turnovers have derailed things a little bit for them, and they came up just short on that last opportunity with Berger trying to keep his feet in bounds. Even when he came back to the sidelines after the offensive series, he was still looking down at the line and trying to see, show people how he thought his feet were.
Sidearm throw in and out of the hands of his intended receiver. That was Gentile McClendon. So we're going to see whether or not Triplett can rally this offense. A minute 49, you almost get a sense that they have to score here if they have any hopes of coming back in this football game.
It would be really helpful for Woodbury going into the locker room if they could score here. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, Paulsboro had the ball first too, right, to start this game? So Woodbury would have it again at the beginning, or no? Did Woodbury start with it? I thought Paulsboro did.
Second and 10 for Woodbury.
I believe it was Woodbury.
No, you're right. Woodbury did. Yeah, Paulsboro won the toss, then deferred to Woodbury, which elected to take possession. So, nevertheless, big to get on the board here.
With time now, flushed out of the pocket, directing traffic. And a penalty flag here. And again, Woodbury is going to see a big gain come back on a holding penalty. Penalty flags have certainly hurt today.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think you're going to get holding out there on the outside. Terrell Holloway, number 71, was out there. I think it might have been him who was guilty of the hold. We'll see. Maybe it's, something goes the other way. They're talking it over, bringing another official in to get things sorted out. Yep.
Well, Triplett initially intended to throw that ball, and his man was covered. It looked like he was trying to find Rasan Hayes. Instead, tucked it under his right arm, and maybe via the aid of that holding penalty, picked up a big gain, but it was negated. So Woodbury headed in the wrong direction now. 2nd down and 15. And they hope to regroup here.
2nd and 17 for Woodbury.
Woodbury has great aspirations this year of maybe returning to their glory, winning a Group 1 championship. Of course, Paulsboro will stand in their way, so this is a big game for each team. And again, another penalty flag here.
Flags on the play.
You mentioned just how much they have hurt themselves today. Coming into today, Woodbury started off the season with wins over Sterling, Lindenwold, and Haddon Township. Against Haddonfield, they got pasted 35-0, and then struggled against Collingswood, losing 42-23.
And of course, those two teams had their last 2 losses are the Liberty Division teams, so that's why Woodbury still remains unbeaten in the Patriot.
Handoff up the gut. 3rd down now with 1:25 remaining, and Paulsboro looks like they're going to call timeout.
Sterling with a nice win last night over Overbrook. Other scores in the Colonial Conference last night. Haddonfield beat Audubon 45-0. West Deptford wins 34-7 over Collingswood. It was incidentally the 200th victory of Clyde Folsom's career at West Deptford. So his 200th win as a coach at West Deptford last night for Folsom. Gateway beats Lindenwold last night 14-12, I think, in come from behind fashion. And of course that Sterling game we mentioned, 20-18 beating Overbrook. You've got another game in the Colonial today as well as Haddon Township, Haddon Heights facing off in another Colonial Patriot game. This game for first place in the Colonial Patriot. Paulsboro 3-0 in the division. Woodbury 2-0. Paulsboro 4-1 overall. Woodbury 3-2. Paulsboro this season opened up with a win at Collingswood. Also beat Haddon Township on the road before falling at home to Haddonfield. Then back-to-back wins at Gateway and an overtime win against Haddon Heights last week. Double overtime, actually.
Paulsboro face off against Sterling and then Lindenwold in their next 2 games. Right now, Woodbury trying to find the means of solving this Paulsboro defense. It's going to be tough given that it's 3rd down and 22. Get a sense that maybe they're going to just hand the ball off and try to take some more time off the clock here. Triplett underneath center with Solomon in the backfield. Triplett keeps, flushed out, and he'll be cut down after a very short gain, maybe a yard.
And when you talk about the postseason, Rob, this game, figures into the Colonial Conference Patriot, but it also figures into power points in South Jersey Group 1. Right now, Salem is your leader coming into the weekend at 6-0. Pennsville 2nd, followed by Pennsgrove. Paulsboro in the number 4 slot right now. Clayton 5 at 4-1, by the way. Gloucester also 4-1. Then you've got Woodbury is right now the number 7 spot. So essentially, this game could kind of set it up where the two would meet each other in the first round. If Paulsboro wins and can elevate itself a little bit, and Woodbury falls down a spot or 2.
So Woodbury just electing to run off as much time as possible. They will call timeout, will Woodbury. And they do so right at the 30-second mark. So Paulsboro will have 30 seconds to try to add to that 21-0 lead. A little surprised at the score thus far.
Yeah, definitely. In a game in this rivalry, and as we mentioned again over and over, most of the games are usually pretty close. Things are certainly in hand for Paulsboro right now. But again, Woodbury's got some explosive players, and Triplett certainly can make things happen. We've seen it. I just don't know if the guy plays hard at quarterback. He plays hard in defense. I don't know how much he has in the tank each week, to come out here and do what he does. But impressive start so far for him. These two teams, too, we talked about the postseason, how things line up. They've played each other 10 times over the years in the postseason. The first time they played was in 1987, with Paulsboro winning 20-15 in a Group 1 semifinal. And over the years, they've kind of traded barbs back and forth in the postseason. But Paulsboro has the edge in postseason matchups there as well to go along with that all-time series lead.
So Holloway back to receive the punt. We know how dangerous he is, leading all of South Jersey in touchdowns. High snap, and it's going to be a very, very short punt. That may have gone maybe no more than 5 yards. Well, they wanted him probably to angle to the sideline, but I would suspect they wanted a little bit more than that.
But you want your punter to angle it to the near sideline because you don't want him to punt to that far sideline, rob too much room over there to give Holloway a chance to maybe scoop it up off the ground and run. So you want him to kick it out of bounds here on the near sideline. Unfortunate, though, for Woodbury that it's going to set Paulsboro up in enough space where a couple of plays they could possibly find themselves in the end zone yet again.
First and 10 from the 36. Trips left, over the middle, looking for Google, and falls incomplete. Well, that was interesting. They had the trips left, drew all of the coverage, and then isolated Google one-on-one as on the coverage, Jawan Rouse. But Google had inside position. Had Aiken just thrown that a little bit lower, Google would have certainly picked up a large gain.
Yeah, a little post route there. It was everything worked except the throw was just a tad high. Now it's a false start here maybe. I don't know if somebody on Paulsboro jumped or if Woodbury broke the neutral zone first. See what the officials tell us.
Procedure against Paulsboro will back it up another 5 yards. 20.3 seconds remaining in this first half. Second down and 15. And again, you have to assume that they're going to go to the air once again with Carlton Aiken. He's shown that he has quite the arm and a talented core of receivers beneath him. Aiken, two-step drop, Aiken, and unable to avoid Solomon, and that'll probably do it for this first half. There's 10 seconds left, and I don't think Paulsboro is going to get back. Pellegrini is not even making an attempt to do so. So that'll end things here in the first half. It's been all Paulsboro in this anniversary and historic meeting between these two schools. We step away. Paulsboro on top, 21-0.
The Colonial Conference seemed like it was the year of the streaks, and Paulsboro, we know, had their nice little run in the 90s, but before that, Woodbury had a nice little run of their own in the 80s, and it started here with Larry Ginsberg and went over to Jim Boyd, and they're our guest right now. And Larry, let's start with you, because I started covering high school football in '79 on the local cable channel here, and you were the coach then. And talk about your memories of the Paulsboro-Woodbury rivalry.
Fantastic. Some of the best times of my life here at Paulsboro. Tom Brown, Ray Zingler, and Coach Howard. We had some great games. As they pointed out earlier, always a great game. The kids were great. It was real high school football, at its best.
Do you get down here a lot to see a lot of the people, or is this a nice little reunion tonight?
I live in Cherry Hill. I get here, I usually try to get to see one game, maybe Paulsboro or Thanksgiving,
Okay, well, I mentioned earlier we're going to be running the Paulsboro-Woodbury game from 1979, and we still have those old tapes we look at. We'll talk about the nice little run you and Jim had in the late 80s to 90s.
Yeah, well, we went to the Wishbone, and from that time on, as I said, I don't remember what the number was, but I know we had a nice long run for about 4 years. We only lost one game in 4 years or so, so it was very memorable times here at Woodbury. You know.
Well, I'm glad you could stop by and talk to us. Thank you very much, Jim. We're going to have you slide in. Took over a great team. You had some great players. I talked to somebody today. It's funny just when you hear the names, McKinney, Walker, Stanton. I'm missing a lot.
You know, when I took it over, my primary goal was not to mess it up.
Yeah, you did a pretty good job.
Everything was in place. You know, I had, there were good players coming back, and we just wanted to try and keep it going as long as we could. Ran the same offense, ran the same defense, and it was funny. When Larry went to Eastern, he evolved to the spread triple option, just like we evolved to the spread triple option out of the Wishbone. But we were both, the triple option guys, and it worked really well for us here.
And how was it when you look down the road and you see a guy like Bryant McKinney playing in the NFL?
Oh, it's fun. It's so much fun, and there's so many people here today, for this get-together that, people I haven't seen for a long time. And it's really, really fun. Lamar Sturdivant was at the movie last night. I haven't seen him yet today. So many people, too many people to even begin to name that, I've run into yesterday and today. It's a great time, really a great time.
Yeah, I was going to say the group at Woodbury did a great job putting this together. I wanted to thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
We enjoyed watching and covering your teams, and enjoy the rest of the AL weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're going to get Carmel Marina in here right now. Carmel, of course, hasn't left the area. And a matter of fact, interesting, you coached wrestling at Woodbury, yes. Even though you're a graduate of Paulsboro, so you played in this rivalry as a player. What was it like?
It was great. I mean, I can remember my senior year, we beat Woodbury. They beat me our sophomore and junior year. They had some great athletes. What a great turnout today. To see these two schools come together, and it's a lot of tradition here, John.
I was going to say, how was it like at halftime when they marched all the players and cheerleaders out by decade? A lot of faces that you haven't seen in a while?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was guys that played football against that were bigger than linemen now. They were the quarterback, and the linemen are small. And it's just funny that they hug everybody. It's just a good feeling. You feel like a kid again.
Well, I appreciate you coming out here. Good luck, and I'll see you around. Thanks, Carmel. Okay, up to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, John. You see the great crowd on hand here at Woodbury High School. Paulsboro on top of Woodbury, 21-0. Your Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week. And what a first half it's been for these Paulsboro Red Raiders. John Mondelli talking to Larry Ginsberg and Jim Boyd, two of the coaches who have been a big part of this Woodbury tradition. Woodbury to kick it off here. You see the game dates, or the air dates for the Game of the Week. It's going to be 10:30 through 11 to noon and at 8.
And that's the Woodbury-Paulsboro game from 1979, so a chance to revisit history.
Kickoff, and Paulsboro will start at the 30-yard line. So Paulsboro will look to continue their dominance of Woodbury. Again, Mike, in that first half, penalties and turnovers, they're always going to be your undoing. That was the case again.
Absolutely, and those certainly both came back to bite the Thundering Herd in that first half. A little bit of, a couple of throws that went a little bit awry, penalties that set them back when they had big plays that got called back. So see if Woodbury can make some adjustments and overcome some mistakes here in the second half.
Holloway, the handoff, round right tackle. Holloway cut down. A penalty flag on the field. We'll see what the call is here. You got to, if you're Woodbury, you have to have a 3-and-out here.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. It'd be huge. It'd be better? A turnover on second down. They'd take that as well. Of course, there's a penalty here, so we'll have first down again if the penalty is accepted.
No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Red Raiders, again from their own 30.
Official timeout on the field. Someone fixing some equipment out there.
It looks like they're going to waive off the penalty, so whether it was declined or not, we didn't get any call from the official. Second down and 11. Again, Holloway with the handoff, cut down in the backfield. So Woodbury's defense has come out to play. Third down has been their Achilles heel. We'll see how things work out here.
Jaquan Solomon with the hit there in the backfield, another loss. So back-to-back tackles for loss by the Woodbury defense. Just what the doctor ordered, Rob, here to start things in the second half.
Again, 3 receiver set for Aiken and the Red Raiders. Looks like Solomon's going to have to come off, whether it's an injury. Looks like he's holding that left arm a little gingerly.
And the doctor that may have ordered it, Rob, at halftime might have been Dr. John Holdcraft, who was the only member of the class of 1930, the 1930s that came out onto the field during that massive 100 yards of 100 years. Alumni, players, cheerleaders, coaches, etc.
Aiken back to pass, hit right after he releases, tipped up. Could have been picked off, but just outside the outstretched arms of Juwan Thomas.
And if Thomas is able to kind of stretch Armstrong and haul that thing in, there was nothing but field in front of him. He would have had an easy pick 6 from about 42 yards out. So great work by the Woodbury defense to force a 3 and out here and get themselves the ball with ideally some excellent field position here.
So 4th down, and Rasan Hayes back to receive the punt for Woodbury. He'll be at his 40-yard line. And again, you have to anticipate Woodbury putting some pressure on the punter. They do, it's blocked. It's blocked. So Woodbury comes away with a big special teams play.
I think it was number 28 for the Herd that got in there, Michael Masato Moten, able to get a piece of the kick and knock it away. We'll get a look at it. Here's the replay. You see it hit off the hand, and I think it's Masato Moten right there who got in there. Nevertheless, it's the great starting field position for Woodbury here. Their best by far of the day, starting at Paulsboro's 25 here, 1st and 10. So that's going to send a spark through the Woodbury crowd here for sure.
Juwan Thomas also with some pressure. It was hard to see who got their hand on the ball. And now to start things, Woodbury calls timeout. So that's unfortunate because you kind of stopped that momentum a little bit. But Thomas, who almost had the pick 6, putting some pressure on that punter. We mentioned they needed a big play to start things in the second half, and that's exactly what they got. You see Al Malin, and he's going to just try to get everybody on the same page.
Well, you got to start getting on the same page by having the right amount of players on the field, and I think Woodbury had 12 guys in on the offense there to start this first play of this second half. So that's why coach had to call timeout there. Don't want to start a drive in great field position by already losing 5 yards before you even snap the ball.
Well, we saw John Mondelli, who's with Larry Ginsberg, who was the head football coach here at Woodbury, and then Jim Boyd, who was his
it's nice to see our bison out there stirring up the crowd.
the coach here at Woodbury immediately afterwards. Ginsberg went on to coach at Eastern. He had Adam Talaferro, who Mondelli had earlier in the day, so a lot of Eastern connections. And Tom Brown, who he made mention of at Paulsboro, went on and coached, had a great career at Washington Township. 10 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. And Triplett is cut down.
Well, Tariq King with the tackle. Good work there, good penetration come from the other side. Triplett looked like he wanted to go one direction and didn't really have anything. And King came in from the outside there and just tripped him up.
2nd down and 12. Woodbury changing personnel. Clock continues to run, closing in on 10 minutes left in this third quarter. It's the first possession for the Herd in this second half. Triplett takes the handoff, rolls right, throws underneath, has his man at Solomon. Solomon cut down at about the 21-yard line.
The one thing you're seeing today, and Alan Childress there, number 9 with the tackle, is great tackling from Paulsboro. There's not a lot of opportunities where Woodbury players are shaking and miss tackles. When Paulsboro players make the hit, they're making the hit and that ball carrier is coming to a stop. Watch Childress there, wham. Takes him out, a little bit of help from some friends, but primarily Childress is the one that makes the stop there.
Berger and Rouse split to your left. Triplett hands off. Solomon finds a hole, exploits it, and gets down deep inside to the 15-yard line. Depending on the spot, we'll see whether they have a first down.
Should be a first down. The ball was at the 25, and unless Maybe they should measure it, but
It
no, they're going
is
to
a
say
first
first down.
down.
Yeah.
So a positive here to start things on their first drive. Woodbury pounds the ball for a first down.
Interesting that they ran it to the short side of the field. The ball's on the hash marks here on the near side. They took advantage of running to that near side. We'll see if they continue to power to the right.
Triplett does take it to the right. Cuts inside. Triplett drives forward and now inside the 10-yard line.
And this
Pickup
is
of about 6 yards for the senior quarterback.
And this is more what you expected to see today out of the Woodbury offense. Just continuing to pick up positive yardage, putting the ball on the ground. Here's Triplett, a couple little shakes left and right, and then, of course, running right before he's brought down by a couple of tacklers there from Paulsboro, Childress and Bryce Holloway.
Childress making that tackle, just what you talked about, not allowing him to pick up additional yardage. Handoff. Solomon inside. Solomon pushing forward, and he's going to be short of the 5-yard line. We may have a measurement here. They give him the first down. So first down and goal, 2 consecutive first downs for the Herd to start things in this second half.
Nothing fancy, nothing too, over the top, just some straightforward running right now, and they're getting the push from the big guys up front. It's a young offensive line for Woodbury with a couple sophomores, a couple of juniors, but they're getting the job done right here, getting some momentum and trying to get the first points of the game for the Herd.
Triplett carries. Triplett outside and cut down. He may have picked up one. Again, they continue to run to the short side. They've had some success there, but Triplett just ran out of room.
And Dustin Herrera, number 44, he didn't get credited with the tackle, but he was the one that kind of strung that out. You'll see Triplett running here, and 44 will come right into your picture right there. Didn't take him down, but was able to kind of close things down, and Triplett couldn't cut it up the field. He had to keep going east and west rather than going north and south.
Berger and Rouse split to the left of Triplett. It's Solomon in the backfield. Handoff. Solomon cut down after a pickup of 1 or 2. And it's tough going now for this Herd offense. Third down inside the 5.
And that was Charles Sampson actually there. And the two backs, Sampson and Solomon. Sampson 6'1", 210. You're going to see him here on the replay getting the football and brought down. But Solomon is 5'11", 220. So you've got two big, powerful guys back there running the football for Woodbury.
Solomon actually out on the sidelines, stretching out. It looks to be a tight hamstring or groin. Third down. Triplett drives forward. Triplett close to the end zone, and they're going to mark him just short. So fourth down now for, this Woodbury offense. Darius Triplett coming out and talking it over. We'll see if they just try to go straight up the gut.
Jeez, it's like fourth and about 9 inches, it looks like, the ball practically touching the goal line here. So Woodbury just needs a little push to get Triplett, who's likely going to keep it here, right over center and try and go in.
Triplett pushes forward. Triplett lanes in. Triplett, no indication thus far. Touchdown!
And if he wasn't in, Cameron Berger made sure he was. If we watch the replay, you're going to see number 11 come flying in. He's the wide receiver. He's in the slot, and he just watched everything kind of happen, and he's going to come running in here. Watch from the end. From the left side of your screen, you're going to see number 11 in yellow come flying in. There he is, and he pushed the pile, and Triplett, the referee, signals in for the touchdown. So Woodbury finally on the board here on their first drive of the third quarter. A time-consuming drive, but nevertheless, they get 6, and now we'll go for the extra point.
Chris Roan will attempt the point after here. Woodbury with their first score of the afternoon. Extra point will be critical. Good snap. Roan's kick is up, and his kick is no good. Roan pulls it left, and it is 21-6.
But Woodbury certainly showed something to us defensively. They shut down Paulsboro. That first drive going backwards for the Red Raiders. They lost about 5 or 6. A short punt, a blocked punt. Woodbury set up in great field position, and they take advantage. So that's what they need to do. This defense needs to rise to the occasion for the Thundering Herd here in the second half.
You know, obviously when they have put pressure on Aiken, it has made his life appreciably more difficult, but we've seen the escapability of Aiken as well, and that's one of the things is you have to maintain your lanes and try to just provide some quality coverage in the secondary. They've been a little bit soft in their coverage. We'll see whether or not Paulsboro goes back to the air. That's where they've had a tremendous amount of success.
Well, on third down last drive, Paulsboro did try to go to the air, and you said it, Aiken was pressured. The throw went incomplete, but it was certainly had nothing to do necessarily with the throw. It was all the pressure, and he didn't have a lot of time to do what he needed to do and wanted to do to complete that pass. Woodbury was right up in his grill, and it was no opportunity for Aiken to really take the time to deliver the ball the way he would have liked.
So Ronan Woodbury will kick it away. It's a high kick. It'll be taken at the 19-yard line by Holloway. Holloway down the sideline, maintaining balance. Holloway finally pushed out of bounds, but not before an excellent return. And Paulsboro, once again, they have won the battle of field position throughout this afternoon.
Absolutely, and you get a big return from Holloway there, who I think a couple of people thought maybe he was going to go out of bounds there around the 35. It looked like he was kind of destined for that, and then he planted that left foot and cut it right back in, stayed in and tiptoed down, got another 11, 12 yards to put him in now 1st and 10 at their own 47 here to start this second possession of the second half for the Red Raiders.
28-yard return by Holloway. Aiken flushed out of the pocket, goes right, throws it up, underneath, has his man, caught by Emmanuel Simon, and Juwan Thomas just merely misjudged the ball. He had good coverage, and then once he saw the release, he kind of came up on the ball. Had he stayed with his receiver, he might have come away with an interception.
Well, an excellent throw from Aiken, really. That's all it comes down to. He put it right where he needed to, as Simon made the, just stayed with it, stayed in the pattern, and ran where he needed to. And Aiken put it out there for where only he could get it.
Watch Thomas here. I mean, Thomas appreciably taller than Simon. He comes up on the ball, and it allows Simon to have that separation. Thomas, had he stayed with Simon, would have at least been able to knock that away. A player down for the Thundering Herd.
And sometimes as a defensive back, you get caught maybe peeking back at the quarterback, and it doesn't. It might take away from your coverage and where you're able to see, you know, where you want to maybe keep your eyes on the receiver. You kind of peek back to the quarterback, and that receiver then gets a couple steps away from you in a direction you don't expect him to go. Maybe that's what happened.
See, Thomas, the player that we spoke about, who was down on the turf. Being tended to by this Woodbury training staff. It's hard to gauge exactly what the nature of the injury is here, and we certainly do not want to speculate.
And you get the Paulsboro training staff out there too, Rob. You see one in the red shirt there on the left, somebody from the Paulsboro team as well. So, you know, everybody always concerned, always helping out one another when you have an injured player like that. You want to make sure, you know, everyone's on the right page and the same page and helping out. No surprise that Paulsboro trainer would come out on the field as well there, given what we saw at halftime with the alumni, players, cheerleaders, former band members from both teams on the field being recognized at halftime. Pretty cool.
1st down and 10, Paulsboro, a big gain. And now they are knocking on the door close to the red zone. Holloway strings it outside. Holloway with the burst. And finally pushed out of bounds, but not before picking up a 1st down.
And Holloway does not shy away from contact. He will create his own contact at the end of the play. You'll see him put his shoulder down, even though he's, you know, going to kind of head out of bounds. He still was able to put that shoulder down and just stay in bounds and send a message to the tackler saying, look, I'm not going to just go out of bounds, guys. I'm taking it to you.
1st and 10 at the 10. Aiken hands to Holloway. Holloway cuts it back. Holloway driving forward, touchdown.
Wow, he is an electric runner. This is an impressive young man. Holloway with another touchdown.
Well, Glenn Howard talked just about the talent that this young man has, and it's been on display this afternoon.
Electric runner. I mean, he sees holes and just goes to them, whether that's what's drawn up for him or not. You know, something might be sealed off, but that time he was headed right.
He read the pursuit, cut against the grain, found a seam, and exploited it. Again, another Woodbury player down. Looks like he may be cramping up.
Yeah, that's Derek Lane, number 9, holding his left calf. Get another look at the TD here from Holloway. And yeah, see, he's going to right, boom, plants that right foot and then just cuts it right back, finds himself a little hole. The ball crossed the plane. He did not, but the ball got out there, and that's all that matters.
10-yard touchdown run for Holloway. He's had himself quite the afternoon. And now limping off is Derek Lane.
Holloway with 2 touchdowns today, giving him 17 on the season. Came in this weekend as South Jersey's leader with 15. Certainly not hurting his cause in that department today.
Kelsey's kick is up, and it's good. 28-6. Paulsboro extends their lead.
So Paulsboro answers back after Woodbury finally gets on the board. Paulsboro comes back quickly and strikes. I mean, less than a minute, Rob, right? Paulsboro, Woodbury score was at the 6:45 mark. So a quick drive, a quick strike, and Paulsboro back on the board again, keeping that lead to 3 scores.
You know, one of the things that we haven't discussed is the fact that the Colonial Conference is considering a merger with the West Jersey Football League, and that would bring all football playing schools in South Jersey into a super conference. And of course, the question is that a good thing for the Colonial Conference? But I think most people would suggest that it is. There's been some lopsided scores along the way, and the addition of the Colonial Conference would create a 95-team conference and would again include every football team playing school in the 7-county South Jersey region. So we'll talk a little bit about that after this kickoff from Paulsboro. But one of the good things is they talk about maintaining some of the important rivalries like this one right here. Kick is away. It's a low line drive. It's fumbled and bounces right back up into the arms of Rashawn Haynes. He's got a bunch of blockers in front of him. Finds a seam. Haynes cut down and fine tackle made at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, good work. That was Bryce Holloway, number 6, came from the far side of the field and just pursued, and got in there and made the hit. And really, the ball carrier there had no idea he was coming. Hayes didn't see him, and it was good work by Holloway.
So, Michael, thoughts on the Super Conference, the addition of Colonial Conference schools?
Well, I mean, the West Jersey Football League already exists. Really, what you're going to do, if the Colonial goes into it, primarily, I mean, for the most part, it's going to just be these 2 divisions that they already have are just going to kind of slip right in there almost as they are. Of course, you might see a little bit of jostling, like, some of the smaller schools from Burlington County might wind up, might see a Palmyra into the mix with some of these teams in the same division. But for the most part, you're going to see the same teams are going to still pretty much play each other, so I don't really see the change.
Not much doing there. Big hit laid out by Tyreek King, and a loss of 1. One of the interesting things, of course, is you'll see some of these teams who typically don't meet until the playoffs. We've had so many great games between Paulsboro and Glassboro, as an example, or Woodbury and Pennsgrove, and that may be something we see now during the regular season.
And you might also see like West Deptford, which is a bigger school. They might then not see these teams during the regular season anymore. So some of that rivalry where schools get up to play West Deptford, you might not see that anymore because West Deptford is a bigger school now.
Triplet back to pass, has someone underneath, and again, not a whole lot there as he finds Berger, maybe a pickup of 3. When you see some of the lopsided scores, Haddonfield has been very successful the last couple of years. As you mentioned, West Deptford, it doesn't really suit anybody when they're winning by scores of 48, 56, nothing, whatever it may be.
No, it doesn't. But at the same time, you play who you're scheduled.
Sure.
And you can't really do much with that. So there's this potential change in adding these schools to the West Jersey Football League, could help that. And then Audubon's going to play a team like maybe Wildwood that's more on par with them, or another small school that's more on par with their level of ability and the number of players they have on the team.
3rd down and 7, penalty flag here. I believe it's going to be motion. Triplett flushed out of the pocket, Triplett dancing, and Triplett will work his way forward. Finally cut down at about the 27, and it looks like the ball was stripped. Is it a fumble is the question.
No signal from any official over there yet. I'm sure his forward progress was stopped well before the ball came out. And we have a flag on the field as well. So, and we've got somebody pointing one direction. We'll see what they put together here from this.
So the referees will talk it over. Illegal motion against Woodbury.
So the play didn't even happen.
Again, they will try to sort things out here. You got Paulsboro lining up on offense, so what it looks as though it was in fact a fumble. And it was.
Yeah. So they'll decline the flag and take the football. Huge for Paulsboro here.
1st down and 10. Paulsboro has had tremendous field position all day, and they'll start this drive at the 33-yard line. Strike that 23-yard line. You mentioned before, very rarely are these games one-sided. But Paulsboro is on its way to a rare exception here.
Yeah, certainly in control of this one.
Aiken, back to pass. He's hit when he throws, and he misses his intended receiver. As looking for Alan Childress falls incomplete.
I mean, the last time a team won by 3 scores or more was Woodbury in 2010, winning 26-0 in the regular season. I mean, last year 6-0 in a rainstorm that was just a mess and cold and nasty. The year before, Paulsboro wins 14-6. The year before that, Woodbury 20-10.
Aiken across the 10 towards the end zone and just shy of the goal line.
Just shy of the goal line. I think Roan had his hat in there with a little help from his friends.
Well, Aiken and Holloway have certainly demonstrated their abilities this afternoon. And Woodbury trying to really put this out of reach. 28-6 with about 4 minutes remaining. Aiken under center, full house backfield. They'll hand it off to the big guy, and he's going to fall short. Well, big number 44, Dustin Herrera.
Another flag on the play as well, thrown in the defensive backfield of Woodbury. But could have been, a hold could have been observed there from the back judge, so we'll see again what they sort out. Holding is the call. So to move Paulsboro back 10 yards. And you'll have 1st and goal from about the 11.
So will remain 1st down. And again, if Woodbury hopes to come back in this game, they're going to have to keep Paulsboro out of the end zone.
Is that pylon cam, just like they have in NFL Network games? Not quite the same, but you know, the other thing you talk about that West Jersey Football League change, and the only thing it does, Rob, is if you get some of these Group 1 schools that are going to play each other, now you're talking about huge travel. You're talking about like you know, teams like Haddon Township might play at Shalleck or Wildwood.
Hand off to Holloway. Holloway, and it's taken away. Taken away. Stripped from Holloway to the 40-yard line. Aiken finally cuts down Solomon. A huge play there. And that is exactly what this Woodbury team needed.
How about Solomon? His probably biggest gain on a handoff is one that turned into a strip. It was almost like he was on offense there. Great work by Solomon. He just the ball carrier got stood up and he just reached in there and took it away. Let's take a look. Holloway dancing, and then Solomon is in there, whoop, takes it right away as the his teammate took Holloway down on the tackle.
Well, you have to credit Aiken for being on top of it. did not give up on the play, saw what had transpired, and able to track down Solomon. Solomon, again, the 5'11" junior fullback slash linebacker, coming up with a play that Woodbury hopes will turn the tide. Trips left for Triplett. Triplett rolls right. And now he's going to be cut down, a loss of about 10 yards. And this Paulsboro defense coming up big. Fine play made by Charon Quarles.
Yeah, Quarles, the junior defensive end, 6'2", 185, showing some speed there on the outside. Got by, and you'll watch Triplett. He's starting to roll right, and he's like, whoop, oh no, I'm hemmed in. And then he's got nowhere to go because Paulsboro has guys coming from the other side too, namely Wyatt Hinkle, number 54, is coming from the right.
Again, we saw the impatience in the first half. Woodbury has to keep in mind they don't need to make it all back in one play. Triplett with a lot of time. Triplett throws it up, has his man in and out of the hands of Rasan Hayes. Beautiful pass by Triplett.
And Hayes was open, and he had his hand up, wanted the ball, and then I think he slowed up a little bit, thinking maybe he's not going to get it, and then Triplett saw him again, and he slings it out there, and Hayes just can't quite bring it in.
Well, you got to think that that's a play that Hayes typically makes. What a fine play, or pass I should say, by Triplett. And credit the offensive line of Woodbury to give Triplett all that time. So they went for the home run ball. It falls incomplete. Third down and 21 at the 37-yard line for this Herd offense. Again, they want to take full advantage of the turnover. And Solomon still on the sidelines after that big play.
Flag on the play. Illegal motion. Going to go against Woodbury. So now you're talking about 3rd and 26 here. And, you know, now you don't need to get it all back at once. Get something out of this because you're in 4-down territory. You're down by 3 scores. You're deep in Paulsboro territory. Well, you're not as deep as you were. You're at the 41 now of Paulsboro as opposed to starting this drive at the 26. But still, get a little something here. Get something back, and then, you know, you're going 2 downs here to get 26 yards.
They have to get to the 18-yard line for the first down. Triplett out of the shotgun. Triplett with some time throws it up and trying to find Berger, but that falls incomplete as Google was on the coverage. Again, what you said, they're trying to get the first down in one play, and it's an opportunity to maybe throw underneath and get some yak.
Right. And you'll see Triplett back to pass here. I mean, he was locked in on going to Berger. There was no question about that. That was his man there. He wanted to hit Berger with the pass. Just didn't quite get it done. Berger this season is his top target with 8 catches for 178 yards and 4 touchdowns on the season. So 50% of the time when Berger makes a catch, it's going to the house.
Trips right, Sampson in the backfield. Triplett out of the shotgun with a lot of time, throws it up. It's going to be a jump ball looking for Thomas, and it is picked off. Well, that effectively works as a punt for Woodbury.
Yeah, basically. And if you're that was a heck of a adjustment on the ball by Alan Childress, number 9, to make that interception. But, you know, I think Glenn Howard might say, well, just knock it down, right? It's 4th down. Knock it down. You're going to get the ball at the 41 as opposed to the 1. Basically it's a punt, Rob. Really is what it turns out to for Woodbury, a 40-yard punt. But,
so, you know, without a first down, without a touchdown, it's probably the best case scenario if you're a Woodbury fan.
And if Woodbury can do what it did on the first drive of this second half, they can get a safety out of it because they gave up a negative 5 yards on that first drive there, the first 2 plays. So Woodbury right now needs to bring it defensively if they have any hopes of scrapping their way back into this thing.
Some confusion here by the Red Raiders. And Pellegrini not entirely sure where he's supposed to line up. Paulsboro able to get somebody off the field just a minute ago. Handoff inside, and Holloway juking to pick up 2.
And that's just a quick hitter. You want to give yourself some space, get off the goal line there. Now they've got it out at the 5. So a pickup of 2 or 3 gives them a little more breathing room for Aiken and the Red Raiders offense.
inside of 2 minutes remaining. 2nd down and 8 for the Red Raiders, backed up at their own 5. Aiken with Holloway in the backfield to his left. Hands it off. Holloway breaking tackle, still on his feet. Holloway, and ball comes loose, but they're going to whistle it dead. And that's what they have to be wary of.
Yeah, that ball came flying out, but one of the officials pointed to the ground, said they called his forward progress over. Here you see Holloway, bam, bam, couple hits, he's going backwards, and his knee was down too before they ripped it out of his hands. I think Triplett was in there trying to rip it loose.
3rd down and 5. Again, it's Holloway in the backfield. 4 receiver set, 3 split right, and rolling to his right. Aiken sets up, throws, has his man wide open, and falling down on the play is Isaiah Pierce, but not before picking up a big gain. Throw for 30 yards, just shy of 30 yards, ball at the 32-yard line.
Pierce, the senior, with the grab. I believe that was his first catch of the day.
And again, 3rd down.
He came in with
the
5.
Undoing of Woodbury. High snap, handoff. Holloway strings it outside, and Holloway cut down. They'll pick up maybe a yard.
Pierce had come into today with 5 catches for 52 yards, and that was a huge one there that gets the 1st down and keeps Paulsboro's drive alive here. Good work by Woodbury on that last run, though, to just string out the play and not let Holloway turn it upfield.
Holloway with the football right up the gut, breaking tackles across midfield, and Holloway finally cut down at the 39.
Holloway is something else. Really impressed with what he's bringing to the table. I mean, he is just fast to the hole. He's physical. He's not a big guy, but man, he really is a physical runner, Rob. You don't see it too often, a guy like that really likes to put the punishment out on the defense.
Pierce on the quick screen, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, it's easy to be impressed with his speed, and he obviously has illustrated some great vision, but I tell you, there's a kid who has a big heart, very tough, and we've seen him driving through men much larger than himself. That'll do it here for the 3rd quarter. We'll step away. It's Paulsboro on top of Woodbury, 28-6. Welcome back to Woodbury High School. At halftime, you saw many of the people who had an impact. This great tradition, 100th anniversary of the first meeting between these two schools.
Yeah, 100 yards for 100 years, 100 yards of alumni, former players, cheerleaders, band members, coaches. They were all out there, and it was awesome. What a great thing at halftime that they did. You see them just coming in there, the people at the end there on the far left, the 2010s alumni. So you had a gentleman going back to the 30s. Dr. John Holdcraft was the lone member of from the 30s in this rivalry out there. A couple of folks from the 40s, Don Sanderson, who we interviewed earlier on, another gentleman, Lindsey Ingram, were the only 2 out there from the 40s. So just a great thing, a great town thing, but not just this town of Woodbury where the game's being played. You had Paulsboro alumni out there too. So it was really, really awesome.
Aiken takes the snap, throws it up, has his man Pellegrini, and Pellegrini able to haul in another throw from Aiken.
Now
so
that
Paulsboro.
Rob, that is a big-time throw. I mean, that was something. Aiken was stepping backwards and threw it off his back foot and just put it out there. Right on the money. And Pellegrini, of course, we've talked about him earlier. Great hands and is able to haul that in with no problem because Aiken put it right on the mark.
Out of the shotgun, it's Aiken with Holloway. Aiken fakes, rolls to his left, has a man all by himself underneath, and just shy of the goal line at about the 3-yard line is Emmanuel Simon. There must have been a blown coverage there.
Yeah, there were 2 defensive backs from Woodbury in the end zone on a Paulsboro receiver, but no one stayed with Simon there, and he's wide open coming across at the 5 and goes out of bounds at the 3. See if Holloway will get touchdown number 18 of the season.
Aiken gives it to Holloway. Holloway drives forward, and Holloway looks like he's going to be just shy of the goal line. Holloway looking for the hat trick we mentioned before, coming into the game with 15 touchdowns. He's looking for number 18 here. Don't be surprised if they go right back to him. Handoff, Holloway cuts against the grain, and this time he's veritably untouched.
Yeah, but he's paying the price. He's limping off the field now. He said, and I could see he was limping after the previous play, and he leaned over at Aiken and told him he wanted the ball, but I didn't know if he'd be able to get in or not. He does, but now he's injured. Left leg, it looks like.
Well, that would be a big loss for this Paulsboro team. Hopefully, it looks like it's just a cramp. And Kelsey will attempt the point after. Try to extend this lead that the Red Raiders have established. Kelsey's kick is up, and it's good. 35-6. The Red Raiders on top. You know, you talked before about the tradition of these two schools. As you see this touchdown run by Holloway. Holloway again,
and you
kind of pulling up right at the goal line there.
He was hopping on that. He didn't really put a lot of pressure on that left leg. And they're looking at it over there still.
One of the great things that our John Mondelli pointed out to me at halftime is just the tradition that has been a part of this series throughout the years. He talked to Don Sanderson, who was previously the mayor here of Woodbury, Michael, and John Berzicelli was the mayor of Paulsboro, and they would have side bets every year. Who would win? Then the other person, the loser, would have to wear like a cheerleader's outfit to the game the following year, and that's just some of the fun of this rivalry.
Yeah, it's great, and like I said, it was so cool to see, you know, people from both teams out there on the field together. People with Paulsboro and people with Woodbury apparel on as well. You know, former coach Zach Valentine was out there. Larry Ginsburg, we talked to him at halftime, John. It's just really cool.
Kick back to the 4-yard line, and Woodbury tentatively returning it. It's Hayes. Hayes kicks it outside. Hayes, and he's going to be cut down. His helmet ripped off of his head, and as has been the case most of the afternoon, Woodbury will start deep in their own end.
And they also, Rob, along with this whole weekend of Woodbury Paulsboro, the 100th anniversary, there was a documentary film that came out last night. It debuted here at Woodbury High School. They had, you know, a small price of admission for people to come watch it. I think it was $3 for adults, $2 if you were a student. And I'm anxious to see that myself. I'd really like to check it out. I mean, you know, it's about this rivalry. It's about the 100th anniversary of it. I'm sure, obviously, you know, with technology and such, you know, maybe some of the footage is only more recent, but they definitely talk to people, you know, that go back years and years in that thing, and just another cool aspect of this whole weekend.
Triplet under center will hand it off, and again, big hit laid out immediately on Solomon. Not much there. The filmmaker's name is Vincent Allen, and the documentary, all of 71 minutes, is entitled Say Mercy. And as you mentioned, they had that last night at Woodbury High School, and it relives the football grudge match with various film clips, interviews, and photos. And you know, there's been just so much talent between these two schools, and a lot of NFL talent that have come out of here. Gerald Hodges is probably the last of the players to remain from this rivalry who are in the NFL. Triplet rolls to his right, spins, and cut down after a pickup of about 4.
Who knows, you might see Anthony Averett make that jump. He's, of course, playing at Alabama, defensive back. Was a great track star, too, here at Woodbury. And that's the one thing, too, Rob. We mentioned Paulsboro and, you know, wrestlers as well, guys that played football and wrestled. But Woodbury, too, you had kids here. A lot of guys, you know, were football players and track stars. And at both schools, you had multi-sport athletes. I mean, because they're small schools, and you're going to see your best athletes are going to be on the football field, then they might be playing hoops, and then track or baseball.
Bryant McKinney was in the band. He would play, and then he'd go out and play in the band at halftime. So,
Mountain McKinney went to University of Miami, of course, won a Super Bowl with the Ravens and Joe Flacco.
Triplet cut down, and that'll bring up a 4th down for the Herd.
And McKinney, of course, with the Vikings as well. Helped Dante Culpepper run up a lot of fantasy points for a lot of people over the years. back in the 2000s.
Well, Woodbury looks like they are in punt formation now. 35-6. As you mentioned before, Michael, a rare example of one team blowing out another in this long rivalry. Thomas's punt is away, and Google's just going to let it bounce. And it'll roll inside the 35-yard line where Paulsboro will take possession.
37-yard punt. Well done. And, you know, you talked about some of the NFL guys and all that, Rob, but there's a lot of, you know, with the success that Temple University's having this year, there's a lot of Temple University connections. Al Malin, the coach for Woodbury, he was a coach at Temple for a while. Of course, Kevin Harvey, he's an assistant coach now for Paulsboro. He played at Temple. A lot of guys are on both teams are very interested in what's going on at Temple University, and I think it's being spurred a lot by a lot of South Jersey guys. Jared Alwyn, the former linebacker at Camden Catholic, has been a big defensive force. Sean Chandler from Camden at cornerback for Temple. So great, and something great to look forward to next weekend. Besides, you know, when you're not watching the Paulsboro-Woodbury game from 1979, there's going to be that Temple game playing some team, the Fighting Irish from somewhere next week too. So.
And right up the gut, Kyle Jones now underneath center. So it looks like Aiken, the senior, will pass the torch. And right now you're looking at the future of Paulsboro because Kyle Jones will likely be your quarterback next year. He'll be comfortable 29 points. They're going to go to Jones. Jones keeps again, and he'll pick up another 4 or 5 yards.
Glenn Howard, the head coach of Paulsboro, with 260 career wins, 54 losses. He's had a tremendous career at the helm of the Red Raiders. Paulsboro's success in the playoffs, too, has been well documented. They've won at a 757 clip, Rob, winning percentage in postseason play as Paulsboro, 53-17 over the years.
Dustin Herrera with the carry. Well, you know, that long 63-game winning streak certainly didn't hurt his win percentage.
Certainly not.
3rd down and 5 for Jones and the Red Raiders at the 45-yard line of Woodbury, and now it's going to be Paulsboro calling timeout.
Woodbury, too, has had great playoff success. They've got a 24-17 all-time postseason record over the years. 23 playoff appearances. They've won 6 sectional titles. Paulsboro's won 17. 23 Group 1 sectional crowns between these two teams. I guess mostly Group 1, I would imagine. There might have been a couple.
I don't have the information from me, but between Woodbury, Paulsboro, and Glassboro, I mean, you're probably looking at almost every single year over the past 25 years or so.
Glassboro, of course, was a Group 2 a couple times where they moved up, but you know, for the most part, I mean, those 3 teams dominant, and all 3 coming out of Gloucester County.
Glassboro struggling a little bit this year. Kind of a bit of a surprise. You know, we always expect great things from those 3 schools, but invariably you're going to have a down year periodically.
Yeah, 2 and 4 are the Bulldogs this year.
3rd down now for the Red Raiders. 5 to go. Jones working out of the shotgun.
Glassboro on a bye this week. They'll play.
Jones looking, throws it up, has a man wide open, but that will fall incomplete. Again, it looked like a blown coverage because Isaiah Pierce was wide open, Michael.
Yeah, he was, but to tell you what, Roan wiped out Jones as soon as he let go of the ball. He really took him out. And we had some, our cameraman down there on the sideline was in on the action too. Quick wave.
So a rare punt here by the Red Raiders with 7:25 remaining.
I was mentioning Glassboro. Yeah, they got off to a 2-1 start. They've lost 3 in a row, losing at Gloucester, at Woodstown, as well as losing at home to Camden. They're off this week. They'll play at home against Bishop Eustace on October 30th.
Paulsboro punt will be taken at the 16 and hit immediately is Hayes.
Pellegrini with the tackle, out there working hard on special teams too, is big number 88.
We look ahead next week. We have the Hamilton-Williamstown game.
Yeah.
Who do you like in that one, Mike?
Well, that should be an interesting one. I mean, you've got Hamilton, who a lot of people think are the best running team in South Jersey. I think if anybody wants to maybe make a statement, it's Williamstown. And Williamstown has been wanting to make statements over the years, ever since the West Jersey Football League came into formation, and Williamstown got an opportunity to play teams like Cherokee and Shawnee and some of the bigger schools. So this is going to be another opportunity for them to make a statement with a nearby rival. You'll see that game here on our air, the Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week, November 3rd through the 5th.
Triplett carries, picks up a couple yards.
Williamstown, though, another great place to watch a game. Always a great crowd, always an electric environment there as well. And it feels like you're right on top of the action there. Like the visitors, bleachers are not, they're right there too. It seems like everything's just so compact and close there.
And that's another town that really loves its football.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that was a town that for years they had a tough to go of it, but the last 8 to 10 years things have changed considerably.
Well, Frank Fusatolo over there does a great job, but again, it's been such a revival there, and so excited to have an opportunity to play some of those schools that when they were in the Tri-County Conference they didn't get the chance to play and go out and prove themselves.
And again, that goes back to playing in the West Jersey Football League. So enough for a first down after the carry by Triplett, and Woodbury will try to generate some success here, maybe some momentum heading into their next game. 35-6. Try to restore some respectability to the score.
The catch there about next week's game, though, is you've got Delsey, Hamilton, which is a Group 4 team, taking on Williamstown, which is a Group 5. So it'll, not necessarily playoff implications per se, but still big.
Triplett cut down again, and Dustin Herrera has done a nice job defensively for these Red Raiders all afternoon.
It's funny, you look at Paulsboro's defense, and yes, we've called his name quite a bit, but there's a lot of guys across the front there who have just quietly, Rob, been kind of pushing that line back and not giving Woodbury much space to operate. And you've seen then guys come up and make tackles like Herrera from the linebacker spot, and like number 11, Tyreek King. Those guys have been made the tackles, but it seems like the guys up front, you've got 76 up there, Marcus Scott, 78, Thomas Franks. Those guys have made it difficult for the running backs to get any lanes. They're clogging things up and letting those guys on the outside make all the tackles.
Triplett fakes the handoff, rolls to his right, has a man underneath, and throws it behind his intended receiver. That's Charles Sampson. You mentioned about the play up front when we spoke to Glenn Howard in the pregame.
Yeah.
He said, we have to do well up front. I said, you have to win up front? He said, we just need to do well. Well, I think they've more than done well.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And the other thing he said was that we have to control was the key word he said there. We want to control rather than be controlled. And they have clearly done that today. There was no question about it. In control throughout.
Third down now. 11 to go for Woodbury. Triplett with time. Throws, has his man, it's caught, and hit immediately is Thomas. Fine throw by Triplett. You can't help but be impressed by this Woodbury quarterback.
We've seen, we've seen some good. We've only done 2 games so far, but we've seen a couple great quarterbacks going at it here. We saw Paperno last week from Washington Township, but then Oreo comes in and gets the win in the clutch at the end. Kingsway wins 22-20. You've seen 2 very athletic guys today in Aiken and Triplett. So far, if you want to see some good quarterbacks, you're going to watch the Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week, because we're showcasing some good players.
And of course, here with Triplett, 6'4". I mean, that's NFL size. Triplett, he'll sling it again, throws it up, looking for Berger. Berger catches, but he's out of bounds. You know, Berger's a guy who really prides himself on his hands, and there you see a tremendous effort, but he's out of bounds.
Yeah, Berger, he's been really Triplett's primary target throughout the season, the leading receiver with 8 catches coming into today, 4 of them for scores. And he tried earlier in the game in the second quarter down there in the left end zone. Almost was able to stay in bounds. He tried to tiptoe the sideline, but just kind of the throw pulled him out of bounds and wasn't able to hold on for that score. That would have been huge at the time because it would have been 14-6 or 14-7 at the time.
2nd and 10. Trips left at the bottom of your screen. It's Berger. Quick pass, slings it out, finds Hayes. Hayes working for it and lunges forward. He'll have enough for the first down.
And I think that's one thing, Rob, that as the season goes on, Woodbury, if they don't do more of that, or they need to do more of that style of play there. That kind of intermediate, short-range pass, let these athletes make plays then. Let them pick up the yardage that they need to move the ball down the field and succeed, because that's something that's going to work. You've got guys with great speed on the outside. A guy like Hayes can get it done. Berger certainly can get it done. Jawan Thomas can certainly get it done.
They're going to go with the same formation. Trips to the right this time. Triplett slowly rolls, throws, across the middle, and looks. And Berger snapped his head around and just found himself in an awkward position.
Yeah, he was running right. The ball was behind him, and he tried to make the adjustment to the ball and almost did it in a fantastic fashion. If he would have caught that, that would have been something else.
Kind of played that like a center fielder where he found the ball on the opposite side, snapped his head around, but kind of got it there a little bit too late before he could pick up the football.
Yeah, he was really kind of running towards this sideline and then had to, once he saw the trajectory of the ball, had to turn it upfield and spin around the other way. Just couldn't quite haul it in.
Berger, another kid you can't help but like, kind of scrappy out there, has demonstrated good hands. He had that catch that was nullified in the corner of the end zone. We saw the diving catch out of bounds, and right now Berger to the sideline, just kind of stretching out his hamstring. So it's going to be 2nd down and 10, and empty backfield here for Triplett tries the quarterback draw, but absolutely nothing there. Anthony Marina getting the penetration, and Marina, just a freshman.
And he just grabbed Triplett's back of his jersey and just held on for dear life until he can get some help. And that's a tackle for a loss of about 5, and you're bringing up 3rd and 15 here now. And really, 3rd down conversions, that's always a big statistic, and certainly it's going to play into the favor of Paulsboro today. They've gotten huge 3rd down conversions today, and 3rd and long situations too, to get it. 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12. I think they picked one up, and Woodbury has not been able to come up with those plays, and that's been a huge difference here. Paulsboro keeping drives alive and moving the ball down the field. Woodbury just not able to do that and stalling out.
Out of the shotgun, Triplett. Inside of 3 minutes, Triplett rolls to his right, throws, has a man, it's overthrown. Looking for Thomas, it's overthrown and picked off. Well into Woodbury territory, and it looked like it was Alan Childress with the pick.
Yeah, Childress again, and just kind of laying back, playing center field, if you will, hanging out there, waiting for that ball. It was overthrown, and he was able to haul it in. And I'll tell you what I would not want to be, Rob. I would not want to be Triplett's. I would not want to be Triplett's legs, because he's got to be one tired dude at the end of the day, the way he plays. Here's look at that Colonial Conference Patriot Division.
And Paulsboro will extend their lead over Woodbury. Now 4-0. Woodbury will fall to 2-1, and you see that Paulsboro really in full control of their destiny.
Yeah, the division record was over on the left-hand side, their overall record on the right there. And this will, go a long way, like we were talking about, to set up things in the Group 1 South as well. But there's the Patriot division, so Paulsboro all but locks things up, I think, at this point. I mean, Gateway, they're at 2-1.
Hey, I gotta say something for Gateway. I mean, I was there for a long time. We struggled as a football program when I was coaching over there. 3-3 mark for Gateway. That's something to be said. 2-1 in the division. You gotta be proud of the Gators.
Absolutely, good work for the Gators, and we'll see if they can get into the playoff picture, maybe in Group 2.
Came off a big win over Lindenwold.
Come from behind yesterday, I believe. They won 14-12 in that one.
Minute 55 left. And again, handoff inside. It's Isaiah Pierce, a senior.
When you look at that Group 2 playoff picture, though, you've got Buna, Haddonfield, Cedar Creek, Collingswood. West Deptford is actually 4th in those power points, and they're unbeaten at 5-0. Well, 5-0 at the last power points. They're 6-0 now after giving it to Audubon yesterday, 45-0. But then you got Cinnaminson, Willingboro, Woodstown, Audubon, Overbrook, Delran, Gateway is way down there, and they've got a 500 record at this point.
And once again, it's going to be Dustin Herrera, who's had a fine day defensively. He's had a tough go of it offensively. And we are approaching the minute mark now for the Red Raiders. Well, again, you talk about how far down the list of power points West Deptford is. Again, that is why a lot of these Colonial Conference schools want to get into the West Jersey Football League so they can play the other Group 2 schools.
And I don't know who West Deptford has played yet either in their schedule, but they are, well, now 6-0. Yeah, they still have to play Paulsboro, of course. They always play them at the end of the year, the Thanksgiving rivalry. But West Deptford has beaten the biggest teams it's going to face all year. They've already beaten Haddonfield, they've beaten Sterling, they've beaten Collingswood. So West Deptford's not really going to get much in the way of future power points to come. So they might wind up being undefeated, Rob. It might be a 4 seed or 3 seed, whereas that they might otherwise be number 1.
Well, that'll do it. That should be the last play of this game. Paulsboro victorious 35-6. As we mentioned, the 100th anniversary of the first meeting of these two schools, and a rarity, Michael, a blowout.
Yeah, unusual 29-point edge for the Red Raiders here today, but they certainly, brought it on all sides of the ball. And then if you on that last shot, you saw one stray player to the left of your screen was the quarterback triplet from Woodbury, who. You look at his jersey, you look at his uniform, he's filthy, he's soaked. The guy worked hard, just didn't quite have enough today, did Woodbury, to overcome here in this 100th anniversary matchup.
Well, it was very special for us to be a part of this here on your Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week. Paulsboro victorious 35-6 over Woodbury. And again, it's going to be Paulsboro who looks like they will be the uncontested champion in this Colonial Conference, and Woodbury will look to regroup and try to find their way back into the playoffs. What does Woodbury need to do, Michael?
Well, they got to start next week. The problem is next week they're at West Deptford, Rob. So now, you're talking about another uphill climb. They've got to go to West Deptford, then they'll play at Haddon Heights. So, if they can go, they're going to need to obviously split those two games and hope to sneak in on the bottom end of the Group 1 ladder there. And again, if they do that and they could sneak in and be at the bottom half of that, you might see another Paulsboro-Woodbury matchup again in that in this legendary series, because they've faced each other 10 times in the postseason. They could be headed towards number 11.
Well, hopefully that's exactly what we'll get. Again, your final score here from Woodbury High School: Paulsboro over Woodbury 35-6. From my partner Mike Shute, my director Stan Ritter, and all of the crew, I'm Rob Chris. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to you joining us again next week, the Atlantic City Electric Game of the Week. Good night, everybody.